Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining in. What a beautiful day. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. I'm sure that more persons will join in shortly. I am super, super excited. I'm sure you can tell. And I want to welcome you all specially to the We in HR Conference 2.0. I'm going to be, I want to know where you're joining in from before I even start anything. So, where are you joining in from? Let us know in the chat. You can just type, oh, are you joining from Nigeria, Lagos, Nigeria, Abuja, anywhere? Just type in the chat. Let us know where you are joining in from today. Okay, I see. Some comments. Oh, okay. I'm seeing Lagos, Nigeria, South Africa, Johannesburg, South Africa, Lagos, 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 Abuja. Okay. So let me just say hello to a few people. Hi, Faiza from Abuja. Hi, Lovette from Lagos. Hi, Adiaha from Lagos. Hi, Chidima from Lagos. Hi, Bron from Joburg. Hi, Kanye from South Africa. Hi, Elizabeth from Lagos. Hi, Abby from Lagos. Good morning. I see somebody from Osun State as well. Oluwaferomi, thank you so much for joining us. Hi, Miss Lauren from Joburg. Hi, Henrietta from New York. Amazing. I'm sure it's so early there, but thank you for joining us. I see LD, extremely excited to be here. Last year's conference was refreshing and insightful. Thank you so much, LD, for joining us. Bamidele from Lagos, Taiwo from Ogun State. I will say hi to as many people as possible and then we'll jump right in because of time. I see Yemisi from the UK. Thank you. Shalom from Lagos, Chiemeka from Kogi State. Wow. Thank you guys. We're so happy to have you here. I see Ayakunle, one of our panelists, is there in the chat as well. Lagos, LD is from Abuja. Thank you so much. I wish I could call everybody's names. But I want you to know that we truly appreciate that you're here. I see somebody from Malta, Europe. Amazing. Hi, Chi. Thank you for joining. Okay, so because of time, I'm just going to go right in. I want to be very, very time conscious. Okay, so I want to say a very good morning to every one of you, wherever you're joining in from today. And I want to say welcome to the We in HR Conference 2025. And before we go any further, I just want to pause and say something very important. Yeah. And I want to say thank you. You see, many times the world often forgets how much work we do and how much heart it takes and how much strength it takes to do what we do as HR personnel, right? But today, at this conference, I want you to know that we will not forget the work that you do. And today is about celebrating you, okay? Because the truth is that HR is beyond processes or policies or HMO or all those amazing things, right? It really takes courage, it takes compassion. It is work of helping people really become their best. And in doing so, we really help our organizations to thrive. So thank you so much, everyone on the call, for the countless hours that you put in behind the scenes. Thank you for, being the steady hand, if I can call it that, for that holds the organization together, even when sometimes the spotlight is not necessarily on you. And I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, before we dive in, I'd like to know where you are joining us from. I know some people are just joining in, so just put it in the chat box. And beyond that, I also want you to take a moment to reflect on one thing that you're most proud of in your HR journey so far. If there's something that you have done, just one word or a very short phrase, you can just drop it in the chat. I want to see something that you're proud of, that you've done. Oh, I see someone saying, good day, I'm from Williman. I'm Wilman from Lagos. Thank you, Wilman from Lagos. If there's anything that you have done recently that you're really proud of, maybe there was a challenge at your workplace and you were able to put together a solution, I want you to feel free to brag about it in the chat. I would be looking there for responses as well. Caroline from let me see that quickly from Lagos. Thank you so much. Okay, just drop it in the chat. And I also want you to think about something that you want to take away from the conference today, right? I don't want you to get distracted. I want you to really pay attention. We have our speakers here, and I'm trusting that it's going to be a very impactful session for you. All right. So as we begin, I want you to carry this truth with you that the work that you do really matters. It really does. And together as a community, we are stronger than ever before. So once again, I want to welcome every single person to the Win HR 2025 conference. This moment is really about you. So going very quickly, you can still drop your responses in the chat. I will definitely get to it. We're going into our first segment, which is the keynote address. And that is going to be handled by Mr. Rabison Shumba from South Africa. I'm going to read out his profile very quickly. And the next voice that you will hear would be the voice of Mr. Rabison Shumba. Mr. Rabison Shumba is a respected business consultant. He's a global keynote speaker and an author of best-selling books, including The Greatness Manual and Winning in Business and Leadership. He has facilitated leadership and business workshops across Africa, the US, the UAE, and Europe, and has spoken on major platforms, including TEDx. He's a contributor to the Performance 360 magazine and a co-author with global figures like Brian Tracy. Amazing, right? Mr. Robinson has been recognized among the top 100 most influential people by C-Hub magazine and as a top leadership expert by EC Leadership USA. With a strong background in executive leadership and passion for social impact, he supports vulnerable communities through his charities in Zimbabwe and South Africa. He holds a BBL, a BSc, an MBA, a diploma education, and is also a DBL candidate. Can we all give Mr. Robinson Shumba a very, very warm welcome as he comes up to give his keynote address? If you're not clapping, you're wrong. Okay, so Mr. Robinson, we're excited to have you here, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Hopefully you can hear me loud and clear, and greetings from South Africa. I know you said good morning. This side, it's actually afternoon. I must admit that I came in at 10 o'clock and I've forgotten who is 1 hour behind the other. I ended up sitting in my office for 2 hours, which is good. Good time to reflect, good time to interrogate with my own thoughts and my ideas around how can we transform Africa. So the topic at hand today is a critical one. Hopefully that you can see the screen. If I move my screen, does it move on your end? Does it?
Yes, he does.
Phenomenal. So thank you so much. The talk that I'm going to have for 20 minutes, and that's what I've been given. If I go over, please, timekeeper, just do something. I'm a voice with an invoice, so I can keep going on and on. So do let me know when it's time up, and I'll stop exactly where I need to stop. The future of work in Africa, which is the theme of our conference today. For me, it's a great honor to be a contributor because over 15 years ago, I discovered my real purpose is around Africa. So everything I do is an Africa-facing, agenda. Whatever I do here in South Africa permeates the rest of the continent. I'm always up and about. I was in Zanzibar last week. Last month, I was in Uganda. I've done Nigeria. I've done Ghana. You name it. For me, it's not just about traveling, but it's about impacting our continent. There are things each and every single one of you who is here can do to transform Africa. They don't have to be gigantic things. They don't have to be big, uh, projects. But start where you are. I always live by the mantra that says, do what you can with what you have to create the future you want to see. So all of you, I'm already challenging you right now that even throughout this conference, pick one or two things that you go out and implement in your workplace to turn around your own fortunes, turn around the fortunes of your company and the fortunes of the continent of Africa. How can we build a workforce that is ready to take Africa to the global landscape? A workforce that can compete with anybody, anywhere in this world. That's exactly what I'm talking about today. So let me see if my transitions will work here. All right. So the future of work in Africa, the future belongs to those that are working on it today. Gone are the days where things are automated to the point that you press a button and things just happen. Things don't just happen. It takes careful planning, it takes careful thought, and functions of this nature are here to help us as practitioners, as leaders in the business, to take Africa into the future. We must put it in our minds that gone are the days where HR was, not in the boardroom. HR was not seen as, a department that can raise its hand and contribute towards strategic development. Now we see that a company, a continent is as strong as its people, and that's why HR is the agenda. HR is the driver. HR is the enabler of Africa's future. So, so it's not a preserve of a few. The future belongs to all that work on it. As HR practitioners, we have a contribution to make to see the future you want. It's all about future readiness. As I said, you need to plan for the future. So let's look at Africa very briefly. Africa, as it stands, is over 60% youth. And that's an advantage. That it should be seen as an opportunity. People under 25 years old are the ones that punctuate Africa. This is called the democratic dividend, democratic advantage that our continent has got. What do we need to do? We need to cultivate and nurture digital natives. We need to nurture a workforce that's capable of meeting the global demands. Youth are the asset. Youth are the resource. Youth are the ones that will take us into 2030, into 2060, into beyond. So as we project by 2030, which is the next 5 years, Africa, is projected to account for 1/3 of the world's youth, and that's a big thing. How many continents do we have? How many other continents are out there? And we are taking 1/3 of that, which is quite significant. That should be a driver for innovation, a driver for economic growth, and that's what we should be focusing on. Now, yes, with the increase in the number of youths, there's the issue of employment. How do we ensure that we give our people the necessary skills for them to be contributors of what can be, not just consumers of what already is? One of the things I've seen traveling across the continent is that we have a mindset that says, let's consume what other people give us. Let's consume the solutions that come out of Silicon Valley. Let's consume what is coming out of China. There comes a time where, as Africans, we need to build a mindset that says we can create the future we want to see. So what are the pathways to employment? And for those that don't want employment, can we give them pathways even to entrepreneurship? So we want to be able to address the unemployment challenge that every government across the continent is facing. It's a ticking time bomb where if we don't offer solutions that are proactive enough, if we don't offer solutions that look into the future, we'll be found with a big challenge in the future. This very opportunity I talk about can then become a challenge. So moving right along, we need to realize that there's been growth, of course, in tech funding across the continent of Africa. In 2024 alone, the tech landscape saw a very significant transformation. Over $5 billion was raised. I'm talking United States dollars, was raised for startup funding. Many nations are beginning to embrace this. 700 tech hubs across the continent, mobile broadband coverage has increased. By the time I was in tech, by the way, I have a background of technology. I worked for the largest telecommunications company in Zimbabwe at some point. By the time we were working, we were pushing to say mobile penetration needs to increase. Started off in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and thankfully, because of visionary leadership of Dr. Strive Masiwa, who's the founder of this global conglomerate, we were able to push mobile penetration in the nation of Zimbabwe to about 93%. But on average, across the continent of Africa, we have seen that happening as well. There's been a lot of investment in mobile penetration, and that speaks to the workforce that we are talking about, what we want to see going into the future. We can't talk digital without also talking mobile penetration. There's got to be that mix. Look at what is happening in Nairobi, talent production hubs. That's a case study that we don't have much time to explore, but suffice to say, there is a lot of cultivation of talent. There's a lot of skilled professionals that are being produced for the global market. There is a rise of remote workforce. 4 weeks ago, I met two of my mentees and I was like, what are you working on these days? Talk to me. And I do check in from time to time. And they said, we are now doing remote work. We're working for companies in the US, companies in Singapore, you name it. Sitting right here in Johannesburg, as long as you've got an internet connection, an IP address, and you've got unlimited power supply, uninterruptible power supply, you are able to serve and work remotely. Remote work is becoming a thing right now. And it's an opportunity for us to position these youths that are facing the unemployment risk to actually realize there is something, there is hope at the end. So 42% of workforce work remotely per week. There's a 55% rise in freelancing. We are in the gig economy. So people move from one gig to another. So people must not be tied to a 9 to 5. We must prepare our workforce, prepare our people, prepare even our relatives to realize that they can freelance and they can work in a flexible environment. There's been triple digit growth reported in this sort of space over the last few years. So people are now rethinking employment contracts. How do we structure those? Still painting the picture on Africa, the growth in demand for AI roles has grown by about 54%, and that's something alarming. They've gone up, and this is showing capability and potential in the field of AI. We can't talk the future without talking about AI. And let's look at case studies in Nigeria, case studies in Kenya, and across the continent of Africa. Mobile health, AI being used for diagnostics in Nigeria. When you look at the issue of drones in agriculture, every single sector is, embracing the use of AI. But it's very important for us as practitioners to realize the need for us to promote AI fluency across all the departments. That is our responsibility. Like I said, you are CEOs, you are chief enabling officers, you are enabling your organization to achieve strategy. You need to promote AI technologies, and and you can type in the chat section. I just want to see what AI tools have you been using, because for many practitioners, if we say AI, they think ChatGPT. The same way people used to just think Google is the only one that can be used for searching. The only social media is Facebook. The only toothpaste is Colgate. That's the kind of mindset that's there. Right now, people say, I'm fluent in AI simply because I use ChatGPT. So I'm not seeing the comment section, but I'm sure you can carry on. I'll see towards the end of this program. I want to see the level of fluency you have as an HR practitioner. There is a looming gap, however, in terms of digital skills across the continent of Africa. By 2030, a significant number, like 44% of the skills required by the workforce, will be disrupted by AI. I always speak, and when I spoke to a board, a medical board in Uganda not so long ago, it was all about AI governance. I was training them on how to govern AI. And I told them, AI is not our enemy. AI should not be the thing that causes us to lose hope. AI is our assistant. AI is a tool that works with you and alongside you to make sure that you achieve purpose and achieve the goals and aspirations of your organization. The AI is not the danger. The danger that you have is people who use AI. They will catapult themselves to dizzy heights. So I'll be telling you later on how you as HR practitioners need to position yourself for the future. So think about World Economic Forum, some of the skills that they keep talking about. Analytical skills, the ability to solve complex problems, the ability to maneuver the spaces we are in, being digital natives. All these skills are necessary. And I'm glad, even as I look throughout the participants list that we have right now, when I say also Africa is 60%, going on 70% youth, you are not BBTs. BBTs are those who were born before technology. I can say I'm a BBT. I was born in the 70s. Most of you, as I look, you are in your 40s, 30s, 20s. You are not BBTs. So you must be able to embrace technology and use it more than myself. BBTs have an excuse to say it was not digital. The first computer was manufactured in the 70s anyway. When I was being born, it was called ENIAC for just some trivia. ENIAC means numerical integrator and calculator. It was just a simple calculator. So when I was being born, a whole computer the size of two storerooms was being built that could only add 1 plus 5 and do that in 30 minutes. Things have changed, ladies and gentlemen. You can't fight today's battles with last year's tools. That's one thing you must think about. So as we think of fighting unemployment in 2030, as we think of how we place people across the continent, let's think of upgrading our tools. So as HR practitioners, there's certain competencies you require for you to be able to thrive in the era that you are in. Digital fluency. You could be fluent in Igbo or Yoruba or Shona or Shangani or whatever language that you speak. But digital fluency is the in thing. As an HR practitioner, you must speak analytics. The future of HR is digital. If you are still talking about, oh, we need to then recruit via the newspaper, or we still need to, you are still talking the past. Many of us are guilty of just getting certificates and sitting on them, and not upgrading ourselves to make sure that we remain relevant. The workplace right now, it's a fight for relevance. The next person can have the tools and the mechanisms to solve the problem faster than yourself, then you lose your competitive advantage. It's a challenge to you. Competencies you require, strategic workforce planning, and a term that you all understand from the HR workspace. We want to be able to align our talent with the objectives of the organization. Gone are the days, and as they say, staffing follows strategy. So when you've got a strategy, you only find talent only when you are clear about the strategy. You don't hire people and then ask yourself, what are we going to do with them? So we want to be strategic, in the manner in which we place people, put the right man on the right seat on the bus. Many people are square pegs in round holes and they find themselves ineffective. And that's, as we go into the future, people must be put in the right place. But you must always also have some cultural intelligence. I know there are multiple intelligences. As an HR practitioner, know your role in shaping the culture of the organization. I know there's IQ. I know there's EQ. I know there's even AQ. The formula says IQ plus EQ, which is emotional intelligence, plus AQ, which is adaptability, quotient. Now I'm adding this one, plus CQ, cultural quotient. If you understand that, you have a higher chance of achieving success. We want to see our workplaces being inclusive. We no longer just talk diversity, equity, and inclusion. We also include a B, which is belonging, a sense of belonging, and that's what we must cultivate in our workspaces. You can't be in HR and thrive in HR if you don't understand change management. As I said, you are a change agent. You cause change to happen. You are the ones that drive organizational development. You are bringing about all these transformations. You are saying, let's move our culture from a culture of non-performance to culture of performance. Let's move ourselves from a culture of just doing things manually to a digital culture. All these you are driving as HR. So you want to ensure that your employees are productive, they are engaged, and you are part of that change process. Ethical stewardship, stewardship of AI, the responsible AI is what we're driving towards. Ensuring that AI does not have bias. One of the discoveries we've seen over the last few years is that in machine learning, a machine is as accurate as what it has been taught to do. Many of us are guilty of just taking whatever AI tells us and we throw it in people's faces. We put it in reports without substantiating and think AI is accurate. AI is also learning that the same way you are learning. So we need to have responsible AI, ethical AI. Those are very critical for you. But you can't have a session like we are having today and not become practical. It's very important to then look at things from a practical perspective so that it's not a theoretical session. Some of you would think, I'm here to gain theory. No, we need you to have practical tools that you can enable here and now. What are the actionable steps that HR practitioners can use? I just, distilled it into 3 key pillars in the interest of time. The first pillar is the reskilling and upskilling. The people that we have today, do they have the necessary soft skills? Do they, have the technical skills? Many times we are guilty of just hiring people with IQ, forgetting other softer elements like EQ. You can be the most brilliant individual with distinctions in every subject, but you can destroy everything we are doing. We can destroy the culture. You can destroy, the learnings that other people are trying to have. You can destroy the bonds, the collaboration that we have, and our drive towards success. So combine that technical knowledge. We still need it. We need people who are logical, people who think, who solve problems, but combine that with other softer skills. Can you solve conflict? Can you communicate with others? Can you make sure that as you drive talent development, it's driven from a point of knowledge, not just throw courses at people. I'm a trainer. I travel across the continent, as I say, training people. One of the things that has come out from the workforce is that you keep sending us for EQ training, for conflict management training. Yes, every year in, year out, but you're not dealing with our supervisors who themselves are the cause of the challenge. They are the ones causing the conflict. So, as HR practitioners, be aware. Don't tick the boxes and say we have trained people. Train people because it's driven by data, driven by information, driven by insights that are coming out of your analytics. But more than that, as you talk reskilling and upskilling, just know that there are now multiple ways in which people can learn. The issue is about making learning ubiquitous. On my cell phone, on my laptop, wherever I am, I should be learning something. Gone are the days where people just have to spend 5 days locked away somewhere learning. People learn as they go. So just make sure that your organization is agile enough to be able to provide people the platforms for them to learn. The second pillar, talent acquisition and management, the way you acquire talent. We are talking here about building the workforce of the future. Start recruiting remote professionals. I mean, you have the continent at large. You can even go beyond the continent, but let's try and move talent from one corner of the continent to another. After all, we are just one big village. AI in talent forecasting. Can AI help you to forecast talent, to see the new and better ways of getting the right talent to come and occupy the seat in your organization? Data-driven solutions. That's what I talked about earlier on. Many of us are guilty of having a computer and we think just having a computer, that's digital transformation. It is not. Some of us use 1% of our laptop, and whenever there's a new one coming, you want it. And you believe it's a status symbol to have the latest MacBook or the latest HP. Definitely not. We are guilty of underutilizing the technology we have before us. It's like having a Ferrari and running it at 10 kilometers per hour throughout its life. We are wasting the opportunities that we have before us. So use data. Research has proven that only 5% of managers know the data that they have in their machines. So as HR practitioners, if there's anything you need to learn from next week, go to an Excel course, do an advanced Excel course, know how to mine data and create dashboards. That's how you're building the workforce of the future. But let's also look at employer branding and make sure that even as we go into the future, I talked about diversity, equity, and inclusion. I also talked about building an agile workforce. Think about the pipeline. The third pillar, and very critical one, is the issue of culture. Culture eats strategy for breakfast, a term that you have heard. That's Peter Drucker back in the 60s, I think 1969 thereabout. Peter Drucker says culture eats strategy for breakfast. And your responsibility, even as we bring the digital culture, the AI readiness, as we think future, we must also look at how do we govern the use of technology. So we want an AI ready culture, go around and make sure it's a big change for many people. And as you know, 80% of people don't like change. Only 20% can embrace it. Some are early adopters. Whenever I bring a new technology, they jump for it. Just know that the people you are leading are different. That's the diversity we are talking about. But as we build, think ethical AI, and I spoke about it earlier on. Build these agile hybrid models that allow people to work from wherever they are. I know it's a process, goes according to company policy and things that you've done over time. Now, as an HR practitioner, what are the tools that you need? Very important, learner management systems. I talked about people being able to learn from wherever they are. You have the content that's centralized on a platform and that people can be able to access. You want to be able to track progress of people. People are not just clicking play, they leave the machine to run and then coming back and then getting a certificate. So just try and make sure that you understand you have a robust learner management system. Again, analytics, something I mentioned earlier on, and I think many of us need to embrace this. You've got access to a lot of data. We have got all these metrics. What are you measuring? What are the top KPIs that you're measuring in your organization? And as they say, KPI goes beyond key performance indicator. It now talks about keep people informed, keep people inspired, keep people involved in the process of their own learning, in the process of their own growth. Very, very important. Analytics. When is the last time you had a report that was generated by your analytics, a dashboard that you created, and your supervisor was able to say thumbs up? Remember, your role is to create indelible marks on the sands of time. 5 years after you've left Coca-Cola, 10 years after you have left Unilever, what are they able to talk about? Are you able to say, or are they able to say, because of Thomas or Susan, this tool that we have is still working for us? Leave indelible marks on the sands of time. That's how you get jobs looking for you, not looking for a job. We want AI-driven performance tools. Your role is to ensure people are measuring the right things, as I said earlier on. Are people engaged? Are people working? Are you able to to evaluate insights on productivity? Predictive analytics. Remember, there are 5 kinds of HR practitioners. I know time is flying. 5 types of HR practitioners. The first one is the passive practitioner. You just bury your heads in the sand. You don't do anything. Nothing is happening for you. You just think, you know what, I can live day to day without a plan. I don't have to plan for the future. There's a second type of HR practitioner who's called a reactive one. You see that there are problems coming, but you do nothing about them. Only when there's a fire, you run around with a fire extinguisher to try and put out the fire. You react. Yes, I know during COVID, we all reacted. We had to be in a reactive mode. Even the sharpest prophetic individuals could not pick that COVID was coming. That's the second type of leader, reactive. You can't have reactive as your only way of reacting to situations or your only way of responding. You can't always be running around. People want to look busy. It's called apparent effectiveness, a sign that you are busy, but yet you're not achieving anything. You get home, they ask, what were you doing? You say, I was busy. It was a hectic day. What have you done? No results. The third type of leader, so we said passive, we said reactive, there's a proactive one who anticipates a problem and begins to deal with it now. Let's go a notch higher. That's a proactive one. A predictive leader, a predictive HR practitioner is the one who is able to trend things, analyze data, and be able to predict, the seasonality of things. Why are people off sick in winter? What is going on? Is it flu? What is going on? Is there a new pandemic? You're able to analyze the trends. Why do people not come to work just after payday? There's lots of absenteeism. You are able to use analytics and be able to prepare your leaders for the future. That's what you're trying to do. You are being predictive. But once you've predicted, the fifth layer, very critical, you need to be prescriptive. Be able to tell your leaders, your reports must not just identify problems. I always say to my team, don't come to me with the problem. I most likely know the problem. Come to me with the problem and a recommendation. Then you've become useful to me. Very important. Predictive analytics, something that you need to know. I can go on and on about some of the case studies of how people are learning, and globally there are many ways. Andela, for example, is focusing on training software engineers on the continent. Let's think about that. Moringa School and Flutterwave, you are the bulk of us here are from Nigeria. Those are Lagos-based, startup initiatives. They are trying to build, these graduates to become effective. They are building these graduates to become future ready, to make sure that they are part of the future of Africa. They showcase the potential of our continent. What are we taking away? Africa's future workforce potential is immeasurable. Africa is the frontier. Everybody wants to come to Africa because of this issue that we talked about. We have a very able and capable workforce. Let's invest in workforce transformation. Let's embrace the digital tools that are at our disposal. As I said, I asked you earlier on, hopefully you typed some of the AI tools that you've been using and what you're using them for. Let's embrace these digital tools and, hey, very, very critical, focus on upskilling our people. Don't leave them to be archaic and redundant. Don't teach them the old stuff. Any training right now that you're running that does not have an AI component, begin to question that training provider. If you are going to train my PA and my executive assistants, you can't be training them on how to write minutes, minute taking. Throw away that. There's Smart Nota and many other tools that they can use to write minutes in seconds. So think twice about how you are providing solutions and how you are upskilling and getting people into the future. Act now for 2030 readiness. I know I mentioned 2030, just 5 years, but we should also be talking way beyond 5 years. I know in job interviews they ask you, where do you see the workforce in 5 years? I've already prepared some of you who still want to look for a job for the future. The workforce of the future is here. What are we doing about it? HR that is not digital is obsolete. With that, ladies and gentlemen, let me challenge you to be people who have foresight. Four kinds of sight that you have. Hindsight, the ability to look at HR and see where it's coming from. You can't know where you're going until you know where you're coming from. First kind of sight. The second kind of sight is called insight. Are you able to derive through analytics, through the tools and mechanisms that at your disposal? Are you able to drive decision making the organization through insight? The third kind of sight you are going to need to have as you go into the future as a practitioner is oversight. Responsible AI. Are you responsible? Are you accountable for the solutions that you're providing? That's oversight. Take accountability and responsibility. The last kind of sight, which it talks to exactly what we are talking about, building the workforce of the future, it's called foresight. Think future. When the organization says 10 years from now, this is where we are going to be, you should be part of that. As I said, based on what I've said in the last 20 minutes, hopefully you have something to act on. You have something that you can digest. Take 2 or 3 points from what I've said and be able to draw up an action plan on your own growth, because by so doing, you're transforming not only your career, your life, your relevance, but you're transforming the workforce in your organization, preparing them for the future that we want, because your organization is in Africa, not by chance, but because it's a key part of the puzzle to see Africa's renaissance, to see Africa's growth, to see Africa becoming the giant that the world sees in us. With that, it is exactly 20 minutes, I believe. I say thank you.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Thank you so much. That was so powerful, so impactful. I can see all the reactions. Thank you very, very much. So right now we are over about 130, and I'm sure there are questions. So if you have any question for Mr. Rabison, right, please ask in the chat or raise up your hand. I will be able to take a few. We have a couple minutes for that. I'm sure you have some questions. So please ask, and I'll be more than happy to give you the floor. Any questions, please? So I'll just read out some comments. Thank you so much. This was powerful and a wonderful session. I go with HR without digital is obsolete. Amazing. Amazing. So I'm saying thank you so much in the chat. Such an insightful session with you. Thank you so much. Amazing. Okay, so I will just ask us a question. Because of time, I won't be able to do a thorough recap of a lot of the things that he said, but I will just throw a question at everyone. What kind of HR practitioner are you? Are you a passive one? Are you a reactive one? Are you a proactive one? Are you a predictive one? Are you a prescriptive one? If you were paying attention, you already know what all this mean. And I encourage everyone beyond, I mean, there is a tendency for us to come here and just feel inspired. Many times that happens. But beyond the inspiration, I hope you are taking down things that you're going to do right after this conference. What are some of the things that you're going to do differently? Right? He covered a lot of things. Have you already started to think about your L&D strategy? How are you incorporating AI to it? You know, digital fluency. He talked a lot about, how are you using even AI and technology to support your processes. And I hope that by writing down, clear action points that you're going to incorporate in your organizations. Let me just check the chat. Okay, I see a question on culture. Okay, let me go back. What does this mean? Culture eats strategy for breakfast. Okay, so Mr. Robinson, over to you.
Thank you so much. Every organization needs strategy. And I'm glad that all of you have an understanding of what strategy actually means. Strategy comes from a Greek word strategos, so strategia in Latin. It's a military term. How do we plan to win as an organization? So once we have that corporate strategy, and the strategy could inform all these activities. We want to be innovative. We want to increase our production. We want to have a happy workforce. Your strategy, is out there. But when it comes to implementation, if you have a bad culture, it comes as cancer to eat every single plan that you have had as an organization. Just know that you want to be innovative. Your culture says we have done things this way over the years. It has eaten that part of the culture. You want to be productive, and culture comes in and says you are being tough on staff. They need a work-life balance. Don't be monitoring their performance. They have been here for 20 years. Let's reward their loyalty. So your culture of non-performance has just eaten that component of productivity. So that's what Peter Drucker means by culture eats strategy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Thank you very much. My question, so I have Pfizer. My question is about the use of AI. Most of my older colleagues hate the use of it as they feel it is like cheating. I use it all the time. In fact, I don't know how not to use it. So how can I convince them or show them how AI tools can be used for efficiency?
As I said, you cannot fight technology and win. When I worked for a tech company, when WhatsApp came, our first reaction in the strategy room was to say, let's shut down WhatsApp. We shut it down for a few minutes and then we said, hang on, we are problem solvers. We can actually turn our business model from calls to actually using WhatsApp. Now we created WhatsApp bundles. That's an organization that's adapting to what the environment is saying. They say a good soldier does not spend time fighting the weather, but spends time fighting within the weather. The new weather is AI. The new weather says this is the direction we are going. But as the older folk may take time to adapt to the change. They see it as a threat. They see it, like you say, as cheating. It's a perception that they carry. But you can't try and throw it down their throats and think that they'll get it. The only way sometimes to get a new culture going is by role modeling it. When they see you being efficient at what you do, the things that used to take you days, you're able now to achieve. Remember, I said responsible AI, ethical AI. When AI has helped you, put in the context of the organization. Try and use examples that come from the organization. You can't get AI generating everything for you. Remember, it has not learned everything about your organization. So don't throw it down their throats and say this is all coming out of AI. AI has given you something, adapt it. There's a difference between adapting and adopting. There's a major difference.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. How do you go digital in an organization that is used to pen and paper, especially in the public sector? For instance, using AI recruitment instead of the regular aptitude test. How can one break that cycle, especially in the public sector?
The public sector is one of the sectors. It's a train that takes time to turn. So when there's a new, policy or whatever, it takes a long time, for change to actually happen. As I said, you are a change agent. Just see yourself as a practitioner that everything you do, they are watching. Everything you are trying to say, they're saying, where is that coming from? That's new knowledge. That's new thinking. Those are new possibilities. Change does not happen because the whole company has changed. It takes a few individuals to cause a transformation. It takes a few individuals who are excited about the change to cause a revolution. Remember, some of these guys are not resisting the change, they're just trying to understand it. And sometimes we also don't have enough time to explain to the people what AI is all about, what are its benefits. One of the things that I've helped some of my clients with is just AI awareness. Come into the organization and say, how does AI affect you in HR? How does AI affect you in finance? So, yes, the machine takes time to turn, but have hope. Difficult does not mean impossible. Things may take time. It may be difficult to convince. They say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Not with this dog. Oh no, I'm not a dog. But you can't teach old people these technologies overnight and expect them to run with them. But show them that you're excited about it. As I said, you're a change agent, you're a role model, and as they see you using it, they say monkey see, monkey do. When one monkey sees another monkey doing something and is excited, they begin also to come along. Don't, the fastest way, the best way to kill a frog is not to throw it in hot water, is to warm up the water slowly. Some people take time to warm up. But once they warm up, they are good for it. You know, the frog, by the time your temperature in the water changes to 75 degrees, it realizes I'm just being cooked. There's no need now to jump out and it's gone. Sorry for animal rights activists. Don't sue me.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I think I'll just take one more question because of time. Let me see. Okay, is it easy teaching heads of organizations on emotional intelligence? How do they receive these teachings?
Emotional intelligence is how we work now. Right now, just out of curiosity, can you write down, just, I know we are out of time, everybody, can you write down 5 qualities of a good HR practitioner? Five, just five, or just give me one. Give me one each. Qualities of a good practitioner. I want to show you something. What are the qualities of a good practitioner? Just type something very quickly. Let's see the twiddle fingers. They see the twiddle fingers. Empathy. Thank you very much. A listener, somebody who is proactive. Oh my goodness, I'm loving the answers. Somebody who's empathetic. Somebody, qualities of a good HR practitioner. Who's considerate, engaged, listener, who's confidential, adaptable. The list goes on. And my motivation, understanding, everything you have said there speaks to emotional intelligence. Why is it therefore, as HR practitioners, we hire somebody because they have a distinction in this area or distinction in that? And yet, when I say qualities of a good practitioner, all you talked to me about is emotional intelligence. So we must now have a shift, even as we ask questions in a job interview. Those are called competence-based interviews, or competence-based questions, where you say, tell me of a situation where you were involved in conflict in the workplace. What was it like? What was the outcome? What was your involvement? Now that talks to emotional intelligence. And that's how, even as a panel, people begin to see, this is a new way of looking at things. In, some of our business leaders and the people that are in the C-suite going up, they believe they already have emotional intelligence, and believe it or not. They also believe they don't need to go for courses. They also believe that they already have it in them. I got to this level to be chief HR officer, not because of anything else. I already have the intelligence. Everybody else must go for a course. So it takes time, it takes lobbying, it takes teaching. Teaching exco. When I was in that role in the tech company, you can teach Exco without telling them you're teaching them. One of the ways was through the reports I would write. I would make sure that there's stuff that they can read and begin to learn something about IT or anything else I'm trying to teach them. So there are multiple ways in which you can teach the C-suite without telling them they are teaching them, because they will see you as insubordinate and you as judging them for not having, emotional intelligence. But I know we're out of time. So much I could have said, but I think, let me say, it's been an honor being here. For me, my purpose is to build leaders for the continent of Africa. Find time to find your purpose. Many of you don't know your purpose. Miles Monroe says the biggest danger in life is a life without purpose, moving from birth to death and not know why you showed up. 15 years ago, I discovered my purpose. I used to be an IT engineer, but I've moved to be an engineer of people. So thank you. I appreciate it.
I love it. Can we all give Mr. Robinson a standing, sitting, clapping of just celebrate him? Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. Can we also say thank you to him in the chat? I wish we had more time. We'll have just given you an hour or 2 hours. There's so much to glean from you, and we're so grateful, so grateful. Can we say thank you to him? Let him feel all the love from us here. Let him feel all the love. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. So, moving on very quickly, because I know that many of us still have other activities lined up for today. We'll be going into our very first panel conversation, and that is on the retention playbook building cultures that people don't want to leave. All right. And I believe that this is one of the most pressing conversations in the work of worlds today, retention. You know, we all know that hiring is important. I'm sure we are all hiring constantly. But the real game changer for organizations is about keeping great people that you've actually worked hard to attract and to build. So this session, the retention playbook, building cultures people don't want to leave, is going to be a very, very practical one. And it would help us to uncover practical human-centered strategies that organizations have used or that has helped organizations to move beyond just, nice benefits and perks and policies to really creating an environment where people feel safe, they feel valued, they feel empowered and inspired to stay. And we're so fortunate to have incredible leaders with us today that are each bringing unique perspectives and their experiences and insights and real life examples of what it means to not just retain talent, but to truly engage them. So I want to encourage you to lean into the conversation, take notes, and make sure that by the time we're done with this discussion, you have a list of things that you can actually go to work on Monday and implement those new strategies or improvements in your organization. So please join me as I welcome our panelists for this first session. Mr. Olugbenga Akinsoya is the head of Human Resources West Africa for Tata International Limited. As I call their names, make sure you're clapping in the chats. We also have Dr. Mojisola Olubomo. She's a Chief Human Resource Officer. And we have Ms. Ejiro Ogumbanjo. She's Associate Advisor, People, Business, and Ops professional as well. Can we make them feel welcome as we go into today's discussion? Are you clapping for them? Fantastic. So, um, just give me a second. We want to ensure that you can see them clearly as we start this discussion. Thank you so much to the 144 people on the call. If you have colleagues that you believe will find the sessions impactful, please ensure that you drop the link for them so that they can also join in. All right. So, Mr. Gbenga, please, can you have your camera on? And yes, please have your camera on. I can see Miss Ejiro already here. And Dr. Mojisola as well. So we'll just, great. Okay. So, Mr. Lugbenga, we're just waiting for you to have your camera on. Let me see. Okay. So, yes, yes, yes. Mr. Lugbenga, you are co-host now, so you should be able to turn on your camera. Yes, you should be good now. Fantastic. Okay, great. So can everyone confirm that you can see all of us clearly as we start? All right, good. I've seen the chat. Welcome. We're so happy to have you here. So I would just like you to do a quick introduction. Just tell us about yourself very briefly, what you do today, and then we'll get into the discussion. So I'll start with Dr. Mojisola.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everywhere and wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Mojisola Olubomo. I'm an HR professional. I love to develop talent. Um, and I'm just around people-centered work, either for my unofficial work where I reach out to rich people group to support them, set them up, encourage them to go to school, empower women. I'm also a lecturer in the university. Basically, that's just who I am. I'm a people-centered professional. Yeah, and I love what I do.
Thank you very much. Dr. Mojisola just gave us a very humble version of her profile. Okay, well, let me bring up Mr. Olubenga to do a quick introduction as well.
Okay, thank you very much. So, um, I I think I'll follow suit. Let me see if I can beat Doctor in the humility challenge. Anyway, so I have about 18 plus years of HR experience, and I'm quite passionate about people development, quite passionate about transformational leadership, and I think recently, I mean, when I was listening to the speaker around finding your purpose, I think more and more in recent times, I'm aligning my purpose towards, an Afrocentric people development and workforce building mindsets and philosophy. So I currently, I'm in a space where I, I walk across a couple of African countries, and that's, has exposed me to some of the very mind-blowing realities of workforce and things in Africa that we take for granted when we're sitting in our different countries. So I think in summary, I'm quite passionate about people development issues, Afrocentric workforce development issues in recent times, and ultimately, um, yeah, helping organizations, achieve their best through, their human capital. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Can we have Ms. Ejiro as well?
Good morning, and thank you very much, everyone. Thanks for having me here. And thank you to my co-panelists as well. Looking forward to co-learning from everyone as we go on. The keynote address was very powerful, notes scribbled and noted for lots of things. Okay, so my name is Adriel Gubanjo. I am a HR professional in summary. But in real life, I happen to do a number of things. So I'm a certified coach, I'm a Scrum Master, and I like to see myself as a business and talent strategist. Just bringing the experience I've built around tech, products, operations, customer experience, and core HR, and leveraging that to help organizations transit through whether it's workplace growth, whether it is business transformation, whether it's just sort of refining what you'd like to do in the future, whether it's even reviewing products market fit, for example, for products coming, or even driving AI adoption, technology change, that intersect of a background across people, technology, and strategy just puts me in a place where I'm able to help organizations thrive. Outside of work, I work with teenagers, so I support a teenagers mission. I'm very passionate about the work that I do. If anything at all, I think that's one of the most important things I spend my time doing. Working with teenagers at that cost before they become full adults, and there's not much you can do anymore. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that introduction as well, and well done. Okay, so let's just get right into it. We want this to be as practical as possible, real life examples that everyone can, take learnings from and really go, like I said, on Monday and implement in their organizations, right? So the first question that I have is, in your own view, what are some of the non-negotiables for building a culture that truly retains people? And I would like Mr. Olubenga to start.
Okay. Thanks, Toby. Thanks for the opportunity to, start this. I think one of the very non-negotiables that I would I think us all probably would agree with is having that organizational culture where people can speak out. I think giving a voice to everyone, regardless of their cadre, regardless of where the people belong in the organization, is it speaks to the culture. you would find out it's probably the beginning of a lot of process improvements. And if someone, regardless of where they belong in the organizational cadre, can, you know, voice out, can give their inputs, then that becomes the impetus for a lot of change. That becomes, the starting point. And I'll give you an instance. I mean, I have seen very impactful cost savings initiatives come from, people who are on the shop floor in a production place who you would ordinarily think um, are too far from strategy, are too far from, the financials and all of that. I've seen operators bring, I hope everybody can hear me. Someone said they can't hear me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, I
so
can hear
let me
you.
just, yeah. So I have seen an operator on the shop floor bring ideas around how to save crown cork. Crown cork, this is coming from an experience in a beverage company that I work for. And that idea saved the company millions of dollars. Why? Because in that very monotonous looking role that he plays every day, in terms of operating the machines and all of that, he sees where the inefficiency is. And if you know anything about production environments, you know that there's usually a percentage of waste allowed. So he could have easily let that wastage go into their allowed percentage of wastage. So let's say, for instance, you are allowed a 2-3% wastage in your production process, and somebody looks at that and says, well, we're still within the limits, it doesn't change anything. So that operator took that, and regardless of the fact that that was within allowable wastage, he ran with it to say we actually don't need to be wasting this crown box. We can save this, and then that became, an idea that became an initiative that saved millions of pounds for that particular company that I'm talking to. So letting people, regardless of their kid or regardless of their level, be able to voice their opinion is very key. Is a very key fundamental part of culture that you can't take away, because also that's why a lot of organizations have things, or they have surveys where people can air their opinion, they can give their input, which hopefully then becomes an opportunity for management to take feedback and then implement changes and do things with those feedback. Because if you're doing that and you're actually not taking the feedback and executing them, then it's a waste in itself. Then I think if I was to limit it, I'll say the other very key non-negotiable for me is clear career paths, very absolute clear career paths. And depending on the size of the organization, you always need to understand, that the pyramid always has a frustration point for people at a particular point. So say, for instance, the base bottom, people on the shop floor, people, in production line where you usually have the mass of people in a production environment, and people on lower roles generally across most organizations. These are the areas. So it's not the managers who usually um, probably have clear career paths in terms of what they want to do. If you identify those very bottom population, help them understand that this is what you need to do in terms of how you can navigate your career path, how you can move from here to here, and all of that. Some of them in some environments probably don't have the required education, educational qualification. And if you don't take them as a pain point for you to create career paths for them because you look down on them because of their educational qualification, they become the people who then, create the most noise in an organization. So, and it goes all the way to the top. When when doing organizational design, we always, for our OD specialists, you always need to pay attention to that bit. You always need to look at every single team and being able to consider where are these people going to move into in 2, 3, 4 years from now, assuming I have very clear good performers amongst them. A lot of organizations, do this well, some don't. And it's not enough to have that clear path. It's also very clearly communicating it to your high posts, your, you know, to even your moderate performance to say, if you do this, this is what comes out of it. And this is how you can navigate your this is how you can navigate your career path to achieve your own purpose. So it speaks to you as an individual and it also speaks to the organization. in terms of what is available. I've seen people leave organizations 2, 3 years into it because they don't know the options available to them. They don't know what's next in line for them, and they get that opportunity elsewhere, or because someone has not explained it to them that if you do this, you can, you know, get to the top via this route. I've once joined, sorry, I previously joined an organization that didn't, for instance, in its sales team, have roles like operations, sales operations. They didn't have roles like capability sales, where most salespeople who have, spent their lifetime selling would naturally transition into. And then that became a point where people in that organization get to a particular level and they have to leave because there's nothing ahead for them. It's just the head sales role, and that's just one person. Unless you kill the person, there's nowhere for anybody else to go. So, people leave organizations because of these reasons. And it's just really looking critically at your organization and saying, how do I, design organizational structures in a way that allows people to flow? There'll always be pain points, but designing can help a lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I actually have a question, but I will keep it till the end of the conversation, right? I feel like nowadays there has been a shift in mindset, and many people tend to they don't see the value in staying in companies for long anymore. If you ask randomly, that's the newest, trend. So why do we think that this is happening? Why do we feel like people are just constantly leaving organizations and sometimes even without any warning? And are there practical things that we can do as HR professionals to prevent this from happening? So let me throw that to Adrian.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. So this is, I mean, interestingly, I was in a session with some interns yesterday, and someone asked something similar to this. And first thing I said is, let's even just accept that the world of work has changed. In our parents' time, there was a lot more stability. And the stability wasn't even about getting into a job. It was even about the fact that when they were in university in those days in UI and OAU, right from undergraduate levels, they'll be offered jobs, they'll have Pojo 504 status cards just coming out of school and all of those things. And then today we're in an environment where you want to run a graduate training program and you have to ask for a first class and an MBA as the requirements to even apply for the program. Not necessarily because you think third class or second class lowest students haven't, proved themselves or they're not smart. But because when you look at the cost of running an assessment center, if you open that up to every single person who could possibly apply, you know that your budget constraints would impede you from doing that. So you look for ways to sieve out as best as possible to what looks the closest to the entry requirements that you need. And even at that, you then see 70,000, 100,000, 150,000 people. So even from the beginning, getting into the labor markets, the metrics are already, or as the Gen Zs will say, turning on your own, right? When you then put that into someone coming into work, they already struggled so much to get into that job. They are now not going to come in and leave their career at your mercy, right? And I mean, every time they see the layoffs, they see everything that's happening, so I write a tech newsletter. Today it's no longer open to the public, it's strictly to a group of CEOs and C-suite execs. But a long time ago, I used to put that on LinkedIn. And about 3 years ago, I started to say, with the way AI is going, we're going to see a massive drop off in tech. At that time, VC funding and all of those things were still booming. So people thought, no, nothing can happen. Tech people, every street and corner had a tech academy trying to grow software engineers to become the next. I don't want to mention any brand names. Case in points today, we have had cumulatively, and I'm not talking just the big firms only. If you look at the overall shedding in tech across the world, we've done over 500,000 from data analysts to software engineers to everything. So the golden goose, the one that, I mean, I've had a candidate accept an offer in the morning, a tech candidate in the morning, call me in the afternoon and say, sorry, I'm not coming again. And I'm like, sorry, please, what did they offer you so that I can match it? When I heard the salary, I'm like, God bless you, brother. I wish you all the, because how? Like, where do I want to start competing from? So you had people see that high, and then now they're now living in the reality of a low where they have all these skill set. So you go on LinkedIn, you see X this, X that again. I don't want to call any bad names, and then you see what's open to work. The reality is such that, honestly and speaking practically, expecting anyone to try to build for job security and staying on a job is going to be very unrealistic. So for me as a HR person, I'm saying, look, I'm not even looking for your 5 years or 10 years. If you give me that, that's amazing and wonderful. I'm more focused on how am I enriching your time with us, so that both for you and for us, it's a mutually beneficial relationship. So in the period that you are with us, you feel fulfilled, you get to do your best work. Within the organization where I work, the whole code, we have a saying where we say, do your best work and live your best life, right? You can do that in the space that you are there. And your experience is so good that even when you need to move on, you are now our brand ambassador and alumni. I think trying to solve for retention and keeping and whatnot is where a lot of things. I spent a long time. My last institution, I spent 4 years there. It felt like a long time. But what made it great really for me was in that 4 years, I did so many things. Like it started solidified my journey into tech, this, and I held possibly 2 or 3 job titles, but the actual things I did spanned maybe 7 or more portfolios. And quite frankly, I probably have remained there continuously, so long as I had the opportunity. If this opportunity didn't come up to do something different. So I'm saying, as against trying to solve for retention for me, you must stay, I would say let's rethink how we look at the employee contract. Let's recognize that the people these days are also very purpose focused, and then make sure that we make it an enriched experience. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you very, very much. Okay, so I have a question for Dr. Mojisola, right? Because just thinking about what Ejiro said, there is a way that we can say that the real thing now is that we should start to rethink the KPIs that we're even measuring. So should we still be focusing on length of stay? Or should we start focusing on the impact that the person has made during the time that they have been with us? And that's a conversation that I think we may even wrap up this discussion with at the end of the day. But I want to go back to culture, right? How can we build deliberately as HR professionals, build cultures, right, that people actually want to be in? So yes, you may not have them for 10 years like we used to in the past, but they can even give you a solid maybe 5 or 7 or 3. And that whilst they are there, right, these people are actually able to impact your organization positively. There was something that Mr. Gbenga had mentioned earlier. He was talking about how are people even able to speak up in your organization? It's culture, right? So I just want you to touch a bit on how can we practically, right, build cultures that, can attract and actually retain talent in an organization. Dr. Mojisola, please, you need to unmute your mic.
So sorry, I thought I did. Okay, so thank you so much for that question. So while Ejiru was talking, and she talked about um not expecting too much, like people staying for 10 years, but that during the period of their stay, what stands out for them. And taking that question, looking at that, and then to answer the question you've just asked, yes, so length of stay might be a daunting thing right now, very daunting, very challenging. But again, people can still have good times. Number one, if I want to build culture, and I'm saying, so how do I build culture where people stay so long? And people staying long, it depends on how you define staying long. Because people can stay and they leave, become your brand ambassadors, and come back. We call them boomerang employees. They go and they still come back. And it is their experience. So why you want to build a culture where people stay? What are you doing with them having a meaningful and purposeful work? It's not just, yes, salary is good. And while Mr. Gbenga was talking about why people just leave, again, one thing I've experienced that why people leave is when you believe as an organization or as leadership, we believe that when we pay them, we bought them over, we bought their lives. And so money, everybody is looking for money. Everybody is not looking for money. Some persons are looking for impact. Some persons are looking for meaningfulness. Some just want to have some sort of something to say, as in to say, okay, so this is my role. This is how it connects to the big picture. And so within when management comes up and they're talking about the financial KPIs, the operational KPIs, I can see myself in that achievement. I'm connected. I can see it. But when we replace salaries and perks with impact and we believe people will stay, it doesn't work like that anymore. People have choices, they have opportunities. Another thing, building culture that is impactful is, as the organization is growing, how do I see myself? So we have a couple of leaders now in the places of work where they are just they are threatened by the growth of others. They don't allow others to shine and they don't listen. They are not empathetic. So when they ask you, so in 5 years' time, where do you see yourself? And you say, oh, I see myself becoming a CEO. And say, CEO, yeah, Abby, okay, we shall see now. And right there, answering that question, you have just started a battle that you wouldn't know how, you wouldn't be able to explain it. Where is this battle coming from? I thought I'm giving my best. I'm doing so much. You wouldn't know that question you answered 2, 3, 5 years ago at interviews when they ask you, how do you see yourself? Is your problem. And they will make sure they do everything to frustrate you. That is not a culture that encourages retention. No, it doesn't. Culture where there's no transparency, there is no fairness. And culture is not what we write down. It is how we treat people. It's how people see themselves through the lens of what you call culture. Do I belong here? Can I flourish in this place? Okay, so I look at your management team and they are all male. Your senior management team, your executive team, they're all males. I went back and I did an investigation over the last 10 years, and I discovered that no woman has made it to your leadership team. Hello? What retention are you? What retention are you preaching to me? It means no matter how much I work, there's nothing I can prove. I will never get there. And you say, you see me, I'm a career woman. I want to grow. I want to hold different, just like Ejiro said, I want to hold different portfolios. I want to be involved in so many projects. I want to express. I want to see myself in other areas. And so you've asked me the question, I've answered you, and like, oh, so me that is, and the CEO is on the panel, and they say, oh, so I should come in. It's my job. Excuse me, it's not your job. Am I? What I'm saying to you is, as a current COO, grow up, go up so that I come in. And like that, we go, you give me permission to shine. I have a leadership who is interested in my growth, who wants to, okay, so you think you don't want to be locked up in HR. Retention is not about locking people up. It's about allowing them to express, allowing them to flex. So while you are in HR, are there other things you are looking at that you can do? And I'm saying, I don't mind going into operations. So while I do HR, I don't mind to start understudying the COO. I know it's going to be a lot of work. She is going to give me more work to do. When he goes on leave, I want to be able to, deputize for him. I have grown people that way, that people we brought into leadership pool, when these leaders are going on leave, I ask them, okay, you so go to this subsidiary, go deputize, see how decisions are made, see how people make decisions. So comfort is the enemy of innovation, is the enemy of growth. You are too comfortable, and that's why it's easy for you to criticize and say somebody is not doing. Know what? Go to Shagamu, go and deputize for the COO. The COO is going on leave. Go there. When you have issues, you will know what it means to be a leader that way. And I'm not complaining. Stretch me. Let me job shadow. Let me learn. But when that is not there, when all I get is toxicity, there is no trust. There's no trust. People don't have trust in the leadership. When they say things, they don't walk the talk. When they ask about, okay, so what are your career goals? You did them career goals. That is when your trouble starts. In a place where toxicity is the name of the game, we do management by fear. It doesn't work. That is not the kind of place I want to be. I want to be autonomous. I want to be hardworking. I want to see myself in the growth. I want to be able to see how my job translates to growth. I want to go beyond job description to meaningfulness, to purposefulness. I want to be able to see, okay, so 5 years is a long time. If I come into your organization at 30 and I'm going to stay 5 years, it means that by the time I'm leaving, I'll be 35. That's a long time. My visage has changed. I'm getting old, and you are angry with me that I want to grow, and then toxicity is all I see. You take away my independence, my mastery, and you replace it with fear. I come to work afraid all the time, that I can't see any line of sight to career growth. Yeah. So you believe that once you pay me money, I should stay in that role, as in just enjoy money. No, no. I want to learn. And I said to you, I've been here for 3 years. I've never gone on any training. I bring up desire to go on training, and you said to me, we actually brought you in because of your competence, because of what you have to give. We don't need to train you. Oh, so you do not need to train me, but I should keep giving what I have. How do I refuel? The law of obsolescence is less than 1 week. Once you don't upskill, like Mr. Radisson says, you don't upgrade yourself, whatever you think you know is a matter of 1 week. Go out, go back, go outside. When you were talking, you will see that people will be saying, excuse me, are you still around? Are you human at all? What you are talking about has been done away with since. You are talking about obsolete things that are gone. Why? Because you are not upskilling. Yes, I know. Yes, you should have interest in yourself by growing yourself, by grooming yourself. It may even go as bad. And these things I'm saying to you are things that I have seen, that mentees have brought up and say, do you think I should continue here? And you see, those who don't have goals, who don't have purpose for life, will continue. But you see, because of money, you see that money, we soon get so depleted that it will lose value. But it is what you have that is the value you carry. And with that value, you can make more money. So there are a lot to say about all of these things, about culture that encourages people, that keeps them going on. But you see, internally, companies need to do better by people. And externally, as a country, we need to start thinking about um, how do we bring value to our people. So somebody is earning money, it doesn't mean they're going to stay, because the nation has also not encouraged them. And I also want to go back to HR. We keep giving job description. You see, the future of work is not job based, it's skill based. And when people can't see themselves in the future of work, they keep reading things that keeps telling them these are the skills for the future of work, and they don't have it. They know they can't compete in the next 2 years, and they are here, and they are there, and they're seeing themselves. They are held against their own will. They are like slave. They can't walk. They can't break free. People keep talking about future of work, and they can't see themselves in the future of work because we're not encouraging them. We ensure that we tie them down and make sure that the activities are job based rather than skill based. The future, you see, if smart employees, they know when you keep them in the place and you keep giving them money, you keep feeding them like Christmas chicken, they know it's a matter of time. They become useless to themselves and useless to the environment. Yes, because that job that you've given them will so become obsolete.
Mm,
And the future will start demanding for skill, relevant skill for the future, and they don't have it.
yeah.
And so, again, there are so many of them.
Thank
Why we need to do this? Why,
Thank you.
culture.
I can see from the reactions that you've really been hitting the nail on the head. Thank you so much.
Mm,
Um, and I really loved what you said because you were able to tie it back to what Mr. Benga had said. How are we even designing the workspace to enable people grow? Do you
mm,
understand? So that COO is not feeling like I don't want this other person that is, that has that ambition to get to that position. I want to, keep the person down. So it's very important. So I want us to talk a bit about what everyday practices can we as HR professionals put in place that ensure that people feel seen and valued. Right, so I'll just take one thing from each of us, maybe something that you've implemented in your company that has worked that you can share with us as well. So we'll start with Mr. Benga, then Mrs. Ejiro, then Dr. Mojisola. Just one thing that you have done that has really worked in terms of ensuring people feel seen, valued, and appreciated. Thank you.
So I think uh, what I one of the examples I can leverage on is I think one particular time like this, the way you choose people within the organization to champion causes, you just nominate them and you say, okay, you're championing this. So we had certain people within that organization that I work for, says we chose them to be culture champions, within the organization. It was going to be a lot of work. Of course, there were people from the lower cadre of the organization. It was going to be a lot of work, and the old the game and the end game was that we get better survey scores, better engagement scores, and everything. And after nominating them, I said to their line managers, you know what? I'm not just going to let these people do the work just for the fun of doing it. I'm going to make sure that because traditionally it's HR and line managers that benefit from engagement scores. Yes, this were people from the lower cadre. I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this KPIs in these people's. I'm going to put the KPI, the engagement KPI in, their, their KPIs for the year as well. These were people who didn't have any reporting line. They were just culture champions, you know, and what that was able to achieve for them and for the organization is people who didn't have any reporting line were able to benefit from a good engagement score at the end of the year and benefit from all the reward that came from it. And it gave them visibility, way above, what they would have gotten if they had just in their traditional role been appraised. So just imagine someone who doesn't have, who is like maybe in the lowest cadre of the organization, doesn't have any reporting line, but has engagement score on their KPIs. And when the results were good, they benefited from that. I think that's something we can all learn from.
Thank you very much. So, Mrs. Ejiro.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I mean, a number of things, but I think I'll just focus on one, which is really listening. A lot of the time when we say listening in HR, people think it's do pulse survey, and any of these things, focus group discussion. But I think the quality of your listening is tested in the outcomes after you have listened, right? So just making sure that people actually know that when they speak, you take action. And just circling back, even if your circle back means, I'm sorry, but this is not something that is currently on management's calendar for now. When it becomes a priority, I will let you know. Or because you said this is what we have done about it. I don't think we appreciate that value. A lot of people are used to the shiny things, the nice we have breakfast at lunch, we have ping pong tables, we have this, we have that. And I'm like, the employee is just doing him for you. Like they're looking at you and they're like, when we finish, like funny enough, there was a trend last year where they were like, after we all finished 30 December in the different Christmas parties, everybody went back and both started dropping resignation letters. Why? Because they enjoyed your party. It was nice. They collected your bonus. It was good. But in the things that really matter to them, did we move the needle? And did we show vulnerability to say that, look, we know we are not perfect, but here's what we're doing to try to fix the issues that you have raised? I think if a lot more people did that, we would see a change. So I'll give an example. There's something I introduced recently in the organization where I work. There's always a big focus on tracking sales and all these direct metrics, things that directly impact your numbers. And in some of the interactions with some of those leaders and people across the line, not just the leaders, because you people sometimes focus on us because it looks like ours is right there, is easy to track, is this, is that. What about the people supporting us? I'm like, that's a very, very good point. So we went and created something called epic assessments, enabling functions, performance assessment, basically saying internal service units, your customers are going to be assessing you. And then made this whole song and dance to say, look, everybody, just all the service units, come and tell them how well they've been serving you. The applicant, when we opened the portal, the number of people coming in and just giving feedback. In fact, some people were calling us, please, there's one unit within this department. I'm not seeing their name there. I need to put my feedback, how I feel about X, Y, Z. Okay, sorry, at this point, we didn't profile that deep, but can you even give it to maybe the overarching team? Because we try to break down. So, for example, within HR, there's performance management, there's business partnering. So we try to break it down so we even know which service areas, not just because of the feedback, but also because we wanted to be able to go and fix and come back and actually let people know that, oh, you shared this or you were not happy about this level of service. Here is what we've done. So we try to make it as granular as possible. Interestingly, HR was one of the most assessed. Don't get me wrong. I did not say the highest rating, the most assessed function, and that made sense because almost everybody interacts with HR. And when I looked at the numbers, I mean, we did above 80 and all, but I was still happy that it wasn't like we're number one or number anything, because for me, that told me that people they were not afraid to tell us that you can do better, right? And when people really see that you're open to feedback, you are open as the institution is, you're not trying to, in quotes, package them, you have a lot more people willing to give you a chance to come and have a conversation with HR before they drop their letter, to speak to their business partner and say, this thing is frustrating me, and I'm thinking about, before they finally make that move. Because let's be real, before anybody resigns, they have thought long and hard about it. Change is difficult. Even if you're a superstar performer, going to a new environment, new people, new metrics, new everything is difficult. For someone to make that move, at some point, there must either have been a push factor that was higher, i.e., the place was so not that no matter what comes, so just take it and run. So a very strong push factor. Or there was a pull factor that they could not resist. In my own experience, if it's a pull factor I can't resist because I've made your experience great, you tell me, look, I like this place, so but I need to go. And then with that, you support me with finding a replacement, training your successor, doing all the other things. And when you're moving on, it will pain us, but we'll still be. So just really listen, not surveys, not dancing around the table, any of those things. Really listen and show that you are listening by taking action with what people tell you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Dr. Mojisola.
Okay, so one thing I will say here is and HR needs to know this. Retention is not HR job. It's not just HR. Retention is a business strategy. Without it, we would die. So you won't place that on the shoulder of HR alone and you say HR should keep carrying it. What am I saying? What I'm saying is every leader must become a chief retention officer. And we're going to put it, and I'd had this discussion with my CEO before when he said retention, and he indicated one ungodly percentage. And I said, excuse me, sir. Retention can't be my only, cannot be placed on my shoulder. I bring people in and I hand them to some persons. So they also need to be part of it. So that and that is why when I bring up attrition, I'm analyzing attrition for a particular period, I do organizational wide attrition and say, wow, our target was like 5%, we're now on 7%. I go further to divide it department by department. I go further to divide it unit by unit, so that when we get to monthly review meeting, all the leaders are there. I'm asking you, so how come your department has the greatest attrition rate? And with that, we also ensure that our exit interview is not just check it, check. It's a live document. Every question that is there is deliberate. We don't just, it's not, you don't just sit down and design exit interviews, cut and paste. You go online and you see one beautiful flowery words, you cut it and you put it in a form. No. For every question you're asking yourself, how does this relate to our strategy, to our organization, to people's strategy? How does it relate to hygiene factors? How does it relate to the intrinsic factors? And so every question put in there, I take deliberate interest in those questions. Why are people leaving? So I look at all the reasons, I put them on Excel sheets, and I put the percentages of how many times they occur throughout a particular period. And after that, I will divide it again to department. Why? It's because every manager must become a chief retention officer. And with that, those managers are so toxic and they become lord and master, and nobody talks to them because they worship them in their home and in their family meetings, and they bring that same to work, and they think they will make everybody's lives miserable. Is your KPI you are playing with, and it's a strategic KPI on the list. So when you keep saying people are leaving, I'm asking you, what are you doing to them? And that is why when they come to me and they say, I don't like this person must leave, the first thing I say to them is, do you know this is rude? You are turning me into your pawn. You are making me your biro and your eraser, right? To write who needs to leave. And nobody must ask questions. Please tell me why this person must leave. And so they know. Before they come to my office, they will have done their rehearsal. ask themselves very well, why must this person leave? Because you can't just say to me, I just don't like the person. Who likes you too? Who likes you? But we have managed, we have kept you there. We have believed that we're all work in progress and that we will grow in this. We will become better at it. There's no best man anywhere. We're all WIP. Why will you come to and I ask you why? You say, I just don't like the person. Just that. Just that. Sorry. You can't be asking me to get pregnant and I will be aborting the children. It's wickedness. Go back and manage the person. The CEO, you're also reporting to somebody. Maybe he has not told you. You are not the best man. There's no best man anything. That best man is just a qualification and it's too overrated. We're all WIP, work in progress. There's no best man. You see your manager, maybe he has not told you, I'm the HR. Say I should tell you. He also has problem with you. But I've told him to keep managing you, that we all grow. Well, you see me as I am, I'm WIP. There are things that CEO does not like about me, but hey, he has to grow me. He has to groom me. He has to make sure I succeed. I'm one of his success indicator. If I leave and I say, why do you leave? It's because I'm not growing. It's making my life miserable. When the board sees it, they should call him to the room and say, excuse me, how far? How come one of your senior manager is leaving? I said, so if your manager is managing you, you also go and manage the people. How many children do you have at home? Are they the same? They're not the same. Will you kill one of them because that one is stubborn? No, I will keep my, so go back and keep developing and grooming them. Seriously. And that was how we solve our problem. Nobody comes to tell me fire somebody. I say, fire who? Where? I'm not a pawn. And that way, everybody is now responsible to the growth of their team members. When they are not doing well, of course, for some that are really, really critical, we will all see it, that this person has problem. And the next thing is, when it comes to HR, I say, excuse me, what's the problem? Why are you misbehaving? Why are you not performing? Are you a peer? Previously unrecognized recruitment error. Are you an error? Don't worry, I will accept my blame that I've brought in error into the organization. But please tell me, do you think your case is redeemable? Will it be through a mentor? Will it be training? Will it be that I need to manage my expectation such that I can also tell your manager, if you are expecting this person to perform at 90, okay, so bring it down to like 80. And we'll keep doing that. Well, there's no best man anywhere. We're all deceiving. We're all work in progress. And we will grow together. But I will kill somebody for nobody will die. And you see that way, everybody, they've gained their roles. They don't know we are all HR. Yeah.
We are all HR. I
We are
love
all
it.
HR.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I'm going to start rounding up and I want to have enough time to answer questions in the chat. So you know how they say that different generations have different needs and different expectations of the workplace. So how can we actually design a culture that resonates with them? But let's say with like the Gen Zs or the younger teams, whilst also keeping the other generations engaged as well. So let's go the same way. Mr. Gbenga, yes, Mr. Gbenga should go first.
All right, thank you, Toby. I think for to recognize the different age gaps and generations in organization, you need to understand the kind of what's it called the kind of value proposition that would attract and then retain them. And I like that we've debated retention a lot on this call. I think for me, what I do is, in organizations where we run graduate training, management training programs, first and foremost, you need to identify your line managers, the ones that are going to help the cause of what you're trying to achieve with the management trainees, graduate trainees, because there's no point running management training program, which is probably going to bring in the bulk of your Gen Zs and then putting them under line managers that you know that are only going to help them exit faster. So at the beginning of such programs, you identify where do you need people, and then looking at each line manager peculiarity, you decide who you know can help you retain these people, grow them, and then key into that objective. That way, you're helping that population. You are putting them under line managers that will grow them, line managers that would, mentor them. You have to be very deliberate. You're not going to necessarily create a different culture for them, but it's the same culture. It's basically what the organization is about, but it's giving them that safe haven of tutelage, who they grow under, who, they are placed under. There are those, we all know those line managers that when we put people with them, we grow, we thrive, we do all of that. Those are the people you want to put your management trainees under. Those are the people you want to sort of like used to mentor, grow, and tutor your Gen Z population. Those people who know that, yes, this is the phase in the growth of this generation, they will come to knowing much later, but you need to be patient with them. So you have to be quite deliberate about that population. Then as you go further in that, ladder of, millennials and all of that, who definitely want stability in career and all of that, then the organizational structure in terms of how you design your career pathing. Career pathing is very key to millennials because they've achieved quite a level of stability in their own career, and they're looking for what's the next thing, how to grow into it. So you need to take that population into consideration. So how you design your management trainee program, your intention programs, your NYC programs, that speaks to your Gen Z. The kind of people who grow them, mentor them, the kind of line managers you place them under, very critical. Then looking at your career pathing and, looking at the organizational structure, that needs to speak to your mid-career recruits. I'll give you an instance. I once worked with an organization that had a very huge emphasis and a very safe haven for management trainees. It was common knowledge that you will come into the organization and as a management trainee, then 4 or 5 years down the line, you will become the boss of a millennial who has been there and who's a mid-career recruit. So that organization specifically placed its own emphasis and its own strategy around management trainee, graduate trainees. It's an industry, it's an organization in the manufacturing industry. So what that did was it became a mid-career recruits, which is mostly millennials. They became trainers of management trainees who would then become their boss 3, 4, 5 years down the line. So it became common knowledge in the workplace to most people that if you go to that organization as a mid-career recruit, you would have to leave within 3, 4 years if you don't want the management trainee to become your boss. That for me was overemphasizing and overloading the importance of management trainees. They have their place to play in an organization, but you can't create a structure where, they then now become the bosses of people who are 10, 15 years in their career. It means you throw away all of that experience and you throw away all those things. So, but for that organization, that's their strategy. And if you look at the top roles within that organization, you see that people who have gone into those spaces are people who grew through the ranks as management trainees in that organization. But that's their deliberate strategy. That for me is not necessarily balancing Gen Zs, millennials, and baby boomers, because you are creating tension. People will not want to join your organization because they know they're just going to be training management trainees who will become their bosses. So it's about finding that balance where, ultimately, even if you do want to prioritize your management trainees, graduate trainees, always make sure that at the end of the day, when you have senior level positions and senior level career posts available, you balance that experience that the management trainee is bringing and that millennial is bringing to say who's the best fit. When we have such opportunities. I have left an organization because I came back from expatriation and the role that I thought I was going to get had been given to a management trainee without any conversations with me. It became a point of friction for me and I left. Even though they spent so much on me going abroad to, do the training and all of that, I came back and I left within 6 months. So it's about designing those structure. And ultimately, like I said, if you want to create a safe haven for management trainees, graduate trainees, and you want that to be the priority in terms of talent strategy, make sure that when those opportunities become available, you are able to pitch the millennials who are your mid-career recruits. You're able to pitch them with your management trainees and take objective decisions as to who gets the post, who's best qualified. And that way you are balancing it across board, not creating a safe haven for management training, making mid-career recruits uncomfortable, or vice versa. Thanks.
Thank you so much. So I will just ask two more questions, one to Dr. Mojisola and Ms. Ejuru, and then we'll just start wrapping up. So I just want you guys to, think back in terms of like experiences that you've had. Have there been experiences where you had to come up with interventions, right? So that help to strengthen the culture or to improve retention in any organization, or it may not be organizations you have worked with. Maybe you've heard about things that happened and there were certain interventions that were put in place that really helped to um, boost retention in any organization, so or improve the culture, right? Let's start with Dr. Mojisola. So I'm asking that deliberately because I want people to be able to use that as like to inspire people on things that they can do as well to improve the culture or to improve retention.
Okay, so you see different happenings and challenges in organization will inform what sort of interventions or solution you want to bring forward. So I've had organizations where because there are different things being said by different managers across the system, and so if you ask a staff about his or her experience, is different from what the other person will say, and that's because different. Yes, we want to grow, want to be a super system, but the messages going out are just contradictory and they're not same. So we brought up this issue of we divided the whole organization into different stratas and into different groups, and they had dine with the CEO. So the CEO met with all the groups. There were very many, but he was patient. He met with all the groups, and different questions were asked. So we didn't mix leadership with middle level, with entry level. There were different groups, and they were very free to talk because he took them out of the office. It was like a 2 week long event, different groups, and he was able to engage them. What are those things that are going on that I think I should know? What are things we should fix? And different people were coming up with different things, and that was how we discovered that a lot of them are just there, just passing time, and they will soon be leaving, and they will never introduce the organization to any member of their staff because the stress level is high, burnout is high, and what I call management by fear. They do something, they tell them your salaries will be deducted, will be prorated, and all of that. And that conversation happened. The CEO came back. We discussed it at the management level and at the ESCO level, and we brought up some things that are non-negotiable to us as an organization, that are very critical, and all other things that don't enter into that space, we ask that it should be dropped so that people are free to relate, they are free to talk, and they are free to bring up solutions. Some of these problems we carry on our head as management team, the people have the solution. Just like Mr. Gwenga mentioned when he was talking earlier, they have the solution to these things because these are people problems, and these problems are generated by human beings. So if they are in their good space and in a safe space, they will bring up the solutions. And so we start asking them, bring up solutions. They start bringing up solutions, and like that, one by one we started ticking and started solving the problems. There are some that they're on the bigger level. What we do was just to say, okay, so what are the ones that we can do between this time and 3 months? Which are the ones can we do within the next 6 months? Which one can we do in the next 12 months? And like that. And that was what we did. And as we're doing it, when we have town hall meetings, we say it. You say these things that you said, we're fixing this. Is anybody seeing, have we been seeing differences? Are you seeing changes? And they're saying, yes, we now relate more with our manager. Our managers now know that the bigger leadership is looking at that space. So no more toxicity is dropping. No more, I will take you to HR now and they will fire you. That is reducing. People are now owning their space to know that we're giving you people, groom them and grow them. If you need help, come, but don't manage people by fear. So again, it is that allowing people to talk. So rather than do a pulse survey, really, it
Yeah.
was it was a lot of work. A lot of work, lot of money was spent, but it was just dining with the CEO.
Mm,
And a lot of things came out of it, and we're able to distribute all the different challenges, different groups, and gradually things were looking up.
thank you very
Because what happened is because they are not happy, because they are being wrongly treated, we can see the effect on the customers. The customers are complaining. Yes, we're gaining new customers, but retaining old ones became a problem. And you can't treat people wrongly and you tell them they should treat your customers. It's not possible. If you think that managing me by suppressing me, by oppressing me is what works for you, don't worry. You will see the effect on your customers too. And
absolutely.
like that, things started moving, things started changing, and that's how we solved it. So rather than wait for pulse survey, we brought it close to our eyes and we were able to speak to it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mojisola. So we have 2 more minutes, and I will just ask Miss Ejiro to just give us some final remarks on just like final thoughts on this conversation that we've had. So just have in 1 minute, just help us to wrap up the conversation. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. I think I would really just focus on two things as to layer. One would be the importance of data, and our keynote speaker spoke about that. A lot of and I'm saying this because there's no one size fits all. Like everyone has rightly said, different generations, all of those things. Organizational priorities are also constantly changing. So if you are in a high growth organization, certain things about your culture will be very different from an organization that is in startup mode or is stabilized, or there are just so many factors that influence culture, influence how organizations work, influence even the kind of EVP, employee value proposition, that you can afford to put on the table. So first, just data and analytics. And if there's any HR person here who hasn't taken the time to understand that, please go and self-train and self-learn. It just helps you to dimension your workforce. And then as you now start to make recommendations to management on different things, you are not doing I feel, I think. You are saying, let's do this. So, for example, say you want to do something around flexibility for women. You're saying we have a 60% female workforce because of so, 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 and so. I mean, there's so many things. Every initiative that I have put forward that has been successful has had on it a
About
foundation
data.
of data. It's one of the reasons why I can also push back to management on certain things and say, I'm sorry, but I mean, eventually, of course, we would always say HR will advise, right? Sometimes you need them to sign off on budgets and things, but it will always be there that HR led with a data driven recommendation to drive that forward. So that would be number one. Number two would be diversify your approach to listening. I speak a lot about listening because when you then take that data, you need to be able to filter it for what works and what isn't working and all of those things. One of the most interesting things that we've done in, let's say, maybe in the last 12 months was we introduced something called Vibe Check. 12 noon every single Friday, it goes out to our staff. How are you feeling today? And it's emojis, and then if you like, you put text. We get the weirdest responses, trust me. And back end is links to the BPs. So the BPs have a group email, and every BP first even gets that notification. Now, that's because sometimes one BP is on leave, this so all BPs get, and I also get that information. And very quickly from the back end, when we get that feedback, first the original owner triads and gets out in gets in touch with the person. So if somebody gives you back and does a 4 or 5 rating based on the different smileys, we know you're good. So have a good Friday. If you do 3, 2, 1 ish, someone is most likely getting on a call with you. So it's almost like emergency response, right? We assume that, I mean, if there was anything you should have told us before then, but just in case there's something you haven't told us, it forces you to really ask yourself. And the way the creatives are designed, of course, in collaboration with our marketing team, it makes you pause and reflect. Am I really okay today? Right? And then before you overthink your decision, just click an emoji and then somebody gets in touch with you. And I mean, some of the feedback and conversations that have led on from that have led us to even things that we're not even tracking because in prior conversations it didn't come up. That's because we have these multiple layers of how we are really listening. And then between data and listening to people, whatever initiatives you are putting out, half the time when we come back and measure the metrics of success, we find that we are hitting the needle. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Can we just clap for our panelists? I think this has been such a brilliant, engaging discussion. Thank you so much. We're really grateful. We're going to be running very quickly. I know there are some comments in the chat, so please, I have a request for our panelists. Please, if you could just pick any of the questions in the chat and just drop a response via text so that, everyone feels like their questions have been answered. That would be really great because I can't take all the questions now because of time. Thank you so much. So let's celebrate our panelists. Let's tell them thank you. Thank you very much. We're going to be going right on to the next panel discussion. And I'm going to be bringing up our panelists for that. So we have a second panel discussion on using AI to solve real HR problems. And if you were here when we had the keynote speech or keynote address, you could see that there was lots of emphasis on intelligent, responsible use of AI. And Mr. Robinson talked about how AI is not just ChatGPT. Okay. And I want all of us to be able to have practical ways that, HR professionals are using AI to solve real-time HR problems. All right. So I'm going to be introducing our panelists. We have Miss Lauren Clark. She's the head of people for Mint Group Limited, all the way from South Africa. Let's welcome her. We have Mr. Ayokunle Okungwowa. He's the lead people analytics and continuous improvement manager at Mastercard Foundation. And we have Ms. Ezinne Obiora, the chief human resource officer for Fimo Vision. Wrong. You're wrong. So thank you so much. Yes, I can see requests in the chat about getting the recording. The recording will be made available to everyone that registered for this event. Okay, so please confirm you can see all our panelists on my screen. Can we see everybody? Can we see everybody? Great, fantastic. All right, so I would allow our panelists to give us a brief introduction, and then we'll go into our questions. Okay, so I'll start with Miss Lauren.
Thanks, Oliver Toby. Lovely to be here. So as introduced, my name is Lauren Clark. I'm the head of people for Mint Group. We're a Microsoft implementation partner based in South Africa with offices around South Africa. We also do a lot of work into Africa. And we, as I've mentioned to you before, we've had quite a few teams working with countries like Nigeria, which is wonderful to do Pan-African work. And I've been in HR for 25 years. I think for many of the people on this call, HR is a calling. It's not a job you can do if you don't love people and working with people. So thank you very much for having me here today.
Thank you very much. So can we have Ayo Kunle?
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Mhm.
Awesome. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm super excited to be here. My name is Ayokunle Okungbowa. I'm also a nature professional. My career has spanned across business partnering, OD, performance management, analytics. Currently, I lead analytics and continuous improvement at the Mastercard Foundation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Miss Ezine, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Good to be here. Been lots of learning so far. Um, my name is Isene, as everybody has been introduced. I have been in HR for ages. Let's just say that I started in recruitment and dovetailed into other parts of HR. I have experience spanning different industries, energy, um, hospitality, now entertainment. It's just been, a very interesting ride. And like Lauren said, HR is a calling. I think I'd say HR is my first love. I love one of the reasons why I love HR is because I've said this before, not one day, no 2 days are the same in HR. There's so much variety. You get to experience all kinds of things. And I'm someone who doesn't like routine, so I'm in the right place. But yeah, I'm all about, talent development and just simply making work better for people. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Okay, so let's jump right into the conversation. So when you think about everyday challenges that HR professionals face, whether it's hiring, retention, performance, etc., what is one real problem that you've seen AI actually help us solve and how? So just making it very practical, right? And how is HR solving that problem? So let's start with Miss Lauren.
Thank you very much. I have to just a full disclosure. What they call a late adopter. For somebody who works in an IT company, it's quite ironic. I'm the last one to adopt technology because I first want to see how it works and what's going to happen. So I'm not one of the techies that buys the first updated phone and updated technology. I first test the water. So when AI came out 2 years ago and everybody's talking about AI, I just sat and watched. For about 6 months, I wanted to see all the use cases and I wanted to see what is actually going to happen here. For me, the biggest challenge in my role is we don't have enough time to engage with all of the people that work in our organization. There's only 3 people in my HR team. We've got over 250 permanent and contract employees. I know of organizations, and the speakers with me here today work in much bigger organizations than that. And there's just we don't have the time to engage with everybody. So for me, the very first thing that appealed to me about AI was it's going to do the things that are quick wins, so to speak, repetitive tasks, sandbox tasks, things like policies and that which can be contained. And that's going to give me time to do the thing that AI cannot do, which is engage meaningfully with people. And 2 very quick things that we rolled out once I had kind of had a good feel for it and observed how other companies were rolling it out, and I also did quite a lot of training myself, was our company policies. We've got a contained chat GPT environment for our organization in terms of our licensed users, so the security is there. And the second thing was around security and procedural items like POPI compliance, which is protection of personal information, ISO 27001, which is data management and information security compliance, those kind of repetitive, procedure heavy, admin heavy, content heavy topics. That was really easy to push through AI. And that freed up time for me. And I think for me, that was the biggest win in the early stages of AI adoption.
Thank you very much. So, Ayo, what about you?
Thank you. I would also echo Lauren's comments about repetitive tasks, but also to bring it home to me and my work, right? Prior to the rollout of AI, I have had to build most of my dashboards, do most of my analytics manually, right? I have to understand DAX. I have to understand advanced VBA, right? One of the things that AI has done is kind of democratized knowledge in a way that you don't have to be um, an advanced expert in certain fields, right? So I can bring in my HR knowledge and use that to tell AI what to support me with. Prior to the rollout of I couldn't even think about building a microsite for dashboards. Now I'm no longer even doing Power BI or Tableau. Now we're doing microsites, right? So these are things that AI has helped with, and these are things that it kind of allows for continuous improvement if used correctly. That is where I see AI, helping out in our day to day. Thank you.
Very much. All right, isn't it?
Okay, so I said at the beginning, recruitment, I started from recruitment, dovetailed into other things. One of the things that takes up a lot of time if you're a generalist as in HR is recruitment. Recruitment is the doorway into the company, and we know that people spend 23 hours, on recruitment alone. 60 to 80% of your work as a recruiter is on recruitment, especially in the shortlisting phase and the interviewing phase. So what AI has come in to do, I've seen it work and all that, is handle all that grunge work, right? And it frees you up the time to now concentrate on real candidates experience engagement, and in that way you have the ability to have more quality hires, right? And it reduces and streamlines the KPIs for recruitment. So I mean, if I had this number of days for my recruitment cycle to be completed, I've narrowed it down. And when you've taken care of 60 to 80% of that workload, and you're able to channel more into better quality engagement, that helps you reduce the productivity gaps you're looking to fill. You reduce them in quicker time. And of course, it speaks to the bottom line for the company, because at the end of the day, the company is looking at, how much is this impacting us? So recruitment is that's a quick win. And then Lauren said something about policies. Policies, now, sometimes you have to like sit down and think about, sometimes you spend days, you're thinking about, you have your thoughts all jumbled. What do I put together? But then, with things like ChatGPT, Claude, those generative AIs, AI platforms, you're able to like, even if your thoughts are somehow jumbled, I put them in and I'm saying, okay, I might not know how to put this in a polished way. Help me polish this up. So again, it's not about copy and paste. It's not about, hey, crossing my legs and saying, okay, reel out this policy for me. But then I'm putting in my own thoughts and saying, work with me or my partner, let's make this thing work. So it's worked for me because, at my level, I deal with things like policies, tweaking policies, putting together certain forms of documentation. So that has helped me to reduce. So the amount of time I spend on that grunge work has drastically reduced, and it's freeing me more time to handle the more strategic part of the job that I do.
Thank you very, very much. So I think everyone has kept saying the same thing, that AI is not just about ChatGPT or about copying and pasting, right? There's several use cases, and I'm sure that people are going to, learn as we go on in this conversation. So there's also been a lot of fear, if I could put it that way. People feeling like, if I don't adapt to HR, maybe to AI, maybe AI will take my job, etc. So what is your perspective on that? And how should HR professionals adapt, and why should we adapt quickly? And sorry, I know it's a lot of questions, but just answer as you please. And what are some of the risks that you also see when organizations do not actually adapt to the use of AI? So I'll throw it open. Anyone can go first. So who would like to go first? Ayo, please go ahead.
So one of my current passion for within HR is understanding the intersection between organization design AI and people analytics. Whether we like it or not, the world of work has changed. I did a LinkedIn post a couple of weeks ago where I said the future of work is already in the group chat. It's not coming 5 years from now. It's not coming 10 years from now. If I'm tying this back to the theme of this conference around global competitiveness, if we don't adapt, it's not even about being replaced, is that we are kind of starving our talent from being able to compete in a global market that is moving fast. So you sitting back and saying, I don't want to adapt is having some kind of domino effect on other people that you don't see. That's one. Secondly, the fears and the concerns around governance, transparency, fairness, all of those things are things that can be managed. It's still fairly new, so there's still room for growth. But like the keynote speaker said, you can't solve today's problems with yesterday's solutions. It's just what it is. It's not how do I phrase this correctly? Adapting to AI is not a question anymore. There's this common saying that this says AI won't take your job, but someone that knows how to use it will. And that's what it is. I can't begin to count how much more efficient I have become with the use of this assistant. That is what I look at AI as. It's an assistant from the different tools, Copilot, Claude, GPT, Vizier, Lattice, Degreed, all of those different tools are assistants. There is never a time when AI is telling me what to do. I bring HR knowledge and bring that into AI to design a solution together. Whether we like it or not, all of these large language models are performing at a higher pace than human capacity across different domains. It's just what it is. And it's not going anywhere. So the earlier you adopt, the better for you. Thank you.
Amazing. The earlier
I
you're
think,
doing, the better for you. Go ahead, Miss Lauren.
no, to add on what Ayo said, it reminded me many years ago, I was consulting to a hotel in the central Drakensberg area of South Africa, and the hotel owner was still paying his salaries every second Friday in cash because he didn't trust internet banking. He couldn't conceive that the money would be safe, and he was visualizing the money going out of his computer along the line and into somebody else's. And as a result, their staff turnover was extremely high because it's so inconvenient. But the lesson was adapt or die. That's the lesson. And it could be a slow death, which, eventually in his case, the hotel was sold and he, it was had to move on. But in this day and age, the truth of the matter is it won't be a slow death. If you do not adapt and utilize technology, you will become obsolete. You will become there will be zero competitive. Okay. And then I think for HR practitioners, it's shifting that thinking from as a couple of the speakers in the previous panel mentioned, and also the keynote speaker, we can't have this mindset of this is how we've always done it, whether it's onboarding, recruiting, training, any of those things. And I love how Ayu phrased it as AI is an assistant. It does the things I don't have time for. It does the things maybe I don't want to do. Use it to your advantage. But as soon as we viewing, or as soon as organizations view AI as the competitor, as the incoming thief of my role, you've lost already. The second component of this is also around you need to be informed because the security measures around the use of AI are critical. So you have to understand permissions. You have to understand your environment. You need to make sure that your security is there because I think everybody learned from Samsung's story last year, March, April, when coder and published back-end code for a new Samsung product. And once it's out there, as everybody in the world knows, once it's out there, it's out there. Um, so you have to be informed, and for HR practitioners who are not technology minded, you need to make an effort. You can't sit back and go, oh, I'm not a techie. This is not for me. This is a core component of your role now. You don't need to be a developer. You don't need to be a technical consultant, but you do need to be informed, and you do need to understand that AI, your agent, your the tool that you're utilizing, whether it's ChatGPT or whatever, is a team member, and they need to be treated as such. Um, and I think it's that mind shift that HR has really got to do now. If you're not already doing it, you got to catch up today, tomorrow, this weekend, so that Monday you're in the workplace and you are doing this. Because it's really, I think for me, the biggest thing is if we don't have the mindset to match how to use technology efficiently in HR, you will find yourself competing for a role with agentic AI.
Yeah, yeah. So, what I would say is, I liken this to, people that avoid the emergence or adopting HR AI is like the ostrich. You're putting your head in the sand and your rear end. So whether you like it or not, it's going to catch. It's going to catch you and find you where it is. So the three things that are going to happen: jobs will be replaced, certain jobs. So the grunge work type of jobs, administrative, those heavy on the administrative kind of work will be replaced. Then there'll be transformation of jobs. So the title might still remain, but the content might change. There'll be mix and match. And then there will also be an emergence of jobs. In fact, according to World Economic Forum, it said by 2025, 85 jobs will be at risk. 85 million jobs will be at risk, and 92 million jobs will come into emergence. Now think about it. 10 years ago, did you ever know there was anything like a social media manager? We have those things now. So think about where you find yourself or where you fit into that category now, with like in your role, in your discipline, HR. In HR, when it comes to things like payroll, leave, management, the grunge type of work, that's going to be shifted aside to the AI components, right? They're going to take care of that. And then it would then free those people, the HRBPs, the L&D people, free them up to do things more strategically. So they're now, with the previous speakers in the previous session talked about culture, even the keynote speaker talked about, when you talk about all these things, data, handling data, and then using data to predict or to be proactive, how can you be proactive if you're under a heave of paperwork? I speak to HR people regularly, mentees and all that, and they're saying, oh, these things you're saying, they're really nice to do, but then I'm having to deal with answering queries and inquiries, and so if you're going to, the way if you're going to have to adopt AI, or you need to adopt AI so that it frees you up to do those things, the AI will take care of the inquiries. You're not spending your whole day checking emails and answering, please, how many leave days do I have? Please, what do I need to do? If I need to, what's my pay? Can you send me my pay slip? Those kind of grunge work kind of things. It now frees you up to handle data, analyze data, and company, right? So it's very important, like Lauren has said and Ayo has said, you have to adopt AI now, find ways. And I think for me, I feel like people, if you can't take it all in, it's a lot is happening. I was looking at Zoom. Zoom has an AI component. You open your WhatsApp, it has an AI. So you can't run away from it. It's part of life. It's not something you can run away from. I remember there was this case, I'm sure those of us in Nigeria heard about, when, I think First Bank was doing a restructuring at some point, and then they were digitizing things. They were trying to change the way they worked, and there was reverse mentoring that happened because the younger generation now had to school the older generation, because they were resistant to change, but that with the reverse mentoring that happened, they were able to now catch on and then plug into a better way of working. So it's important. And when I hear future of work, yes, future of work 2030, it's just close by, but you might as well start yesterday. Because remember what happened during COVID? nobody knew it was coming. I remember that Mr. Robinson said, I mean, even if you were the most predictive person, you would not see it. But you know what? The people that it did not impact as much were people that were kind of used to or had an idea of how to remote work. I remember I was right smack dab in this thing, right? I had an idea of remote work. I had systems, all up. I knew how to do certain things, but you know what? We had to support people who struggled. They did not have any inkling of what it was like to work on the computer, to do, they're telling you remember those days of, can you see my Zoom? Can you see my, people were struggling. So you don't want to be caught up in that when it eventually happens, because the world is incredibly competitive. You wake up every day, things are coming out. You're hearing today's Google VEO3. Even ChatGPT we're talking about has really ChatGPT 5. And, then works, things are happening at a rapidly increasing momentum. So do you want to be, left behind? And you might say, I've seen people's comments, they say, oh, they work in an organization where, they're still in the back age, but you can be the change agent. You can take your learning, bring your learning, and then start showing it. I remember that Mr. Robinson said, he said, be the role model. The things you do, you show them how implementing or applying those AI tools have made your work efficient. And at the end of the day, the company wants to see, the organization is all about how much money are we saving? How much productivity? Those are the things that speak to them. That's the language they like to hear. So if they see you applying those things in your job and you're showing results, then they will take on. There's something I tell people around me. I say it's not about the previous session. Ejiro said it's not about I feel. I think it's data. By the time you do something and then there's evidence that this thing I'm doing, this is the evidence that it has so impact. You're able to buy, carry people along, buy them in. And then, of course, like Lauren said, please let's not disregard the place of governance, ethics, right? And those are part of the roles that are going to come up, emerging roles. AI, HR people will take the forefront in AI governance, AI ethics, to make sure that people are using this data right. Because again, like I have said, it's not about copying and pasting or just regurgitating whatever AI has given you. I call it GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. Whatever you feed AI with is what it will give you back. I see it as you're at the driver's seat, you're the one steering the vehicle in the way that it should go. Like Ayo said, you're the HR person. ChatGPT doesn't know HR. I mean, you bring what you feed it with what you want it to give you, and then it helps you polish it further. So you have to be sure that your data is accurate, your data is right, and is unbiased. So there's a talk around making sure that your data is clean before you feed it in. So as long as you understand these basics and then you take on one tool and say, okay, you know what, let me test it. You're going to make mistakes along the way, but you improve, as you do things, you tweak, you also have like maybe a community or people that you can lean to and say, hey, I tested this thing, think about it, things are happening. That's all I know. If you go out there in the world, things are happening and the train is moving at an alarming speed. You don't want to be thrown off the train. So that's it.
Amazing. Ayo, your hand is up. Okay. You need to make
Oh,
sure. Okay.
sorry. Yes, I just had one thought, and it's kind of linked to something Lauren said at the beginning when she spoke about HR being a calling. So I was thinking about this question about adopting AI, and I was asking myself, for something that has such an immense capacity to affect people and the work that they do, it's a wonder why people are afraid to jump in front of it. We're at a time where we need HR people involved in AI, because otherwise you would have tech people defining these things. You need HR people involved so that the design can be human-centered. Otherwise, you would have tech people and capitalistic structures just work for efficiency and optimization, and those things will not consider the human part. So think of it as not just learning new tech. Think of it as something that you have to do to protect the people that you are called to serve in HR. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And what you said actually leads me to my next question because I feel like many times we as HR professionals, we wait for the IT teams or the data teams to introduce AI, right, to the company. So how can HR take a more leadership role in this new move, right? How can we take ownership in shaping the adoption of AI and ensuring that it's benefiting our people? So, Miss Lauren?
Yeah, I love this question because I'm a huge advocate for HR being part of strategic decision making in organizations. HR is not a back of house function. And so the people thing, and to reiterate what Ayo's just said, if the one thing that the HR practitioner sitting at the table does is ensure that the business decisions include a people-centric component, then we've done our job. And if you are not there to advocate for that, it won't be done. And it's not because the other functions don't like people, don't get me wrong, but the CFO is thinking numbers. The chief operations officer is thinking efficiency, processes, and technology. The chief project managers are thinking budget and timeline. Okay, who's thinking about Bob? Sally's just going to go on maternity leave and she's worrying about her career progress. Tembi is just sick. She's caring for a ill relative. She's missing, who's the one sitting there going, we need to include these people. So the very first thing of this is HR has to have a voice. The second thing is you then got to back that voice up. So I love that both of my panelists have provided examples of bringing that data and showing that data. But just, I'll give you a great example. So we do a biannual employee experience survey. And it used to take me 3 weeks to go through 200 responses and compile feedback to then understand what are the pain points, and then another 3 weeks to a month to identify what is the action. So we'd run the survey in March, hopefully roll out actions in the new financial year kicking off July. That's 4 months later. This year, I pushed my survey results through ChatGPT with very specific prompts. Within a morning, I had comprehensive feedback, analysis, and action plans. So within the week of receiving the data results, I already am sitting with the key decision makers and giving information that we can make decisions today, not in 3 or 4 months' time, not waiting for a new financial year. That immediacy of that action elevates HR's role further. Because now instead of me being the one that's like putting my hand up, I need to be in that meeting, I'm getting the invite. Lauren, we've got a risk meeting on a new project kicking off. Can you come and sit in it and give us this, what is your take? What are you hearing? What is it? And I think that's the difference. And the third component is something that both Ayo and Ezine have commented on, and that is all of this is doing one thing, and that is giving me more time to spend with people and on people. So whether that's deeper training initiatives, whether it's deeper engagement initiatives, it makes a huge difference in engagement if your head of people is available for everybody, as opposed to I've got 1 hour on a Friday, whoever gets there first. Because then it's like, oh, the juniors aren't going to come and see me because they're like, oh, Lauren's too busy. The other senior managers are like, oh, don't worry, I'll catch up with you another time because you've only got 1 hour. It's fine. But now I've got time and I make it visible. It's in my calendar. Here I am. Come and talk to me. Come and see me at the office. Jump on a Teams call with me. And that keeps that human-centric conversation going. And I think that is really, really core to how this works and why HR needs to be part of driving AI and technology adoption within organizations.
Fantastic. Thank you. Ayo and Izini, would you like to add anything?
So maybe what I'd add to that is, being at the forefront of the AI, what's the word now, training for teams, right? Even if it's on the surface level, showing them, because again, as much as we're HR, we're at the forefront of L&D and all that, as AI is being adopted into the organization, you want to show them the value of AI, showing them that's an enabler, it's not a threat, right? And you're showing them, putting case studies up, putting it forward, right, for them. And even at the point of adoption, one way, I know in the previous session, someone spoke about culture champions. That's what comes to me to when you're trying to adopt AI. Build up a focus group of a cross-section of people across the organization and have them identify each person from, select units as AI champions, right? It also helps in the, when people are a part of a thing, they're stakeholders, there's more involvement, they feel like, okay, yeah, it's this is in it for us. So you have them, take them through that, whatever it is, whether it's a pilot testing or whatever, and you have them champion the course, because you may not be able to do it all by yourself, but you have them, because you have those AI champions, they're further permeating, the workforce. They're able to show them the wins, and then you're testing things, you're tweaking and then getting feedback and saying, okay, this is how this thing works. Is it working or is not working? You're able. So at that point, HR is driving things. The HR is the one that is, pushing these things forward, pushing these things through to make sure that there's a better permeation of AI. And then there's a change in perception of AI, because like the keynote speaker said, change management, people are averse. Lots of people are averse to change. 80% of people are averse to change. How do you can't fight it, but then you show, there's some, they say show and tell, you don't talk, show them. So that's the way HR will stand in partnership, with IT, but then be a driving force, to push for the adoption of AI in the organization.
Yeah. So 3 points. So first, I learned early when I was a business partner that the business will not listen to you if you don't speak their language. So if you don't understand AI, you cannot lead it anywhere. So you have to start from, and that's why we're having some of these conversations. So you have to get to the point where you understand AI, then you can bring your human resources lens to understand the implications on human resources. My second point is data protection and privacy. I don't think, and I may be wrong, but I don't think there's any other function in an organization that has as much data on human beings as HR. So HR has to be at the forefront defining the data privacy and data protection governance principles for whatever AI tool that your organization is going to adopt. So you cannot afford to leave that in the hands of another function. That's my second point. And my third point is we've spoken about the world of work, the future of work, things shifting. So we recognize that the capabilities and the competencies that exist now may not really be needed in the next few years. Which team or which function should be responsible for designing the organization structures or designing the talent management principles for that future of work? It is HR. The way I see it, I know tech is and IT are the ones that do the design and the technical bits, but its implementation and its adoption is on HR. There's nothing we can do about it.
Brilliant. And I just love how you guys find a way to, weave your responses into my next questions. Because I was just going to ask that as HR professionals, we are actually entrusted with helping people, build meaningful careers, like all the speakers have said. And what should be our role in ensuring that? Because now I'm moving the conversation just away from we as HR professionals feeling maybe threatened, oh, AI is going to take my job, etc. But as people that have been given this responsibility to help people build meaningful careers, right? What should we be doing to ensure that it empowers people rather than they feel a fear of it replacing their jobs? Do you see what I mean? Like, are there practical things that we can do to provide that sense of safety, but also to motivate people to start paying attention to certain things that they can do or use AI to do to improve their careers. So who would like to go first?
I think it goes back to something like you said, we've said it before, right?
Yeah,
It's a show and tell thing. I would say, first of all, show them how it has, because like Ayo said, if you're championing a course, you have to understand what you're championing, right?
right.
I have to understand AI and how it applies to me, right? In my own career, or in my own discipline.
Yeah,
Then I can rightfully show other people and say, here, let's tweak it, or let's customize it to what you do. What are the things, what are the repetitive things, or what are the things that take up your time? What are the grunge things that take up your time that you could free up time to focus on more strategic things? This is how AI can help you. This is how AI can partner with you. Because again, remember, change, people, when it comes to change, like the keynote speaker said, people the reason why people resist change is because they're afraid. There's a fear. Is it that, oh, I'm afraid this thing is going to take my job, or this thing, the AI is like a two-edged sword. Yes, it can be for good, it can be for bad, but your job is to be I was going to say something when I said something. I said the reason why people look at AI in a particular way is because it gets bad PR. You're the good PR person. You do the good PR for AI and tell them that, hey, AI is an enhancer. I say it, I've made posts about it. It will augment your role. It's going to help you augment your role. It's not going to take away your role. However, if you keep on channeling your energy to the repetitive things, then you risk becoming redundant. You risk becoming obsolete. So here, this is what you should do. And another thing is, the thing about, putting people in a focus group and getting AI champions, as much as you're selling the thing, still selling it to them, if someone in my team, I'm in finance, or I'm in marketing or whatever, someone in my team that is in marketing has tested this thing and seen, okay, how does it, these people, HR, they're just talking English. Yeah, what does HR do? Now I'm showing you as a marketer, I'm showing you as a salesperson that this thing I've tried, or this thing that they showed me, I've tried it, and this is how it frees things up. So maybe it has the initial conversations with the customers, and I'm able to focus on, customer trends or whatever. That way, it passes the message better and clearer to the people. So they see that, okay, this thing it can be a partner. It can help me do my work more efficiently, right? So I'm all for showing, you can say as much as you can say. People will hear you and say, it's all theory, but they want to see. So show them, let them see the evidence of,
right.
AI enhancing what they do.
I have to agree. And I'll just, share a personal example. So something that we started to do in my company was to do something called an AI spotlight. So every time call, we would bring a team that has actually implemented, AI in solving one challenge or in improving one process or the other. So for instance, the last one we had, we brought in someone from the project management team, actually show us and say, hey, in the past, it would take me over a week to generate this report. But now, with just a click, every Friday, I'm able to send my report to the management. Literally just a click, minute, in fact, seconds, right? And then other teams as well were able to show and say, hey, I used to do X, Y, Z, and it used to take me this number of time. Now I'm a lot more efficient. And what I noticed after the discussion was that people were more excited, say, okay, I want to try it out as well. And different teams are now getting excited about it. So just to buttress your point about showing. So Ayokunle, would you like to add before I move to my next question?
Excuse me. So show showing is very important. I also find that sometimes explaining things in simple language is helpful, right? So we live in an age of corporatees, like I like to call it. Um, there's a lot of acronyms, there's a lot of words, right? Sometimes if you can find a way to explain this concept in an easy way. One of the things I was telling a couple of colleagues, I told them that I don't need to type, I don't need to write on my paper to say 559 times 782 and start counting 2 times 1 and start writing it down. I have a calculator for that. right?
Mm.
There was a time when phones first came out, you had to know people's numbers. You had to cram the numbers. But now nobody needs to do that. That is this change is not so out of the box. It's the world of work has been changing progressively over the past couple of decades. This one happens to be like quite explosive, but it's just trying to explain to them that, see, the pathway of industrialization has been to try and take some of the things that you don't need to be doing, take those things away from you so that you can focus on the things you need to be doing. Imagine if we still had to be calculating numbers on paper and biro, right? Nobody will have time to do anything. So that I find that sometimes when you want to explain these concepts, I always say explain it to me like I'm 5 years old. If I don't get it, then I'm sorry. So maybe finding ways to not dumb it down, but make it accessible. Because if you want people to adopt, you have to meet them where they are, right? So that's my those are my thoughts.
Thank you very much. So for HR professionals that are just starting their AI journey or AI adoption journey, right? What would be the first use case that they can start with? So, Ezine, Lauren, and then I.
To be honest, I can't, so it depends on, for me, I would say, what is the thing, how do I put it now? Because it depends on, your area of purview. What is that thing that takes up your time? What is that? I told you about how when I started in HR, I started in recruitment. Recruitment was the thing that would take my time. Like when Lauren said this thing about things taking months, I laughed. I remember how we would, do things. First of all, you're doing your recruitment timeline, you're sending your reports every week. And in fact, at a point, it was like we're working like we're in corporate, but we're behaving like agents, so there was a competition amongst how many people fill your roles faster, right? So it depends on what you're facing, what part of HR you're handling. Is there anything that is repetitive? Is there anything that, you don't, like, in the words of Ayo, you don't necessarily need to do? Yeah. Is it in terms of answering queries? Somebody's coming. There's some people, all they do every day is answer queries. Please, when is my leave? Please, what is maternity leave? How many days is maternity leave? You're answering questions, FAQs, and all those things. So what are those? What is that particular area of the job that you do that you could have, if you outsourced it, in quotes, you would still be able to do, your work comfortably. So it's for that person at that entry level to think about. And most of the time, right, sometimes it's recruitment that seems to be the major thing, but there may be other things. So there's recruitment, there's performance management. People spend their time, they're chasing after line managers. Please fill your performance appraisal. Please fill your that could be taken away from you. A chatbot could handle that. An AI tool could handle that, handle all that. And what you're concentrating more on is evaluating or reviewing the results that come from performance management. So what is it? Things like exit, there's things like exit interviews, people pile up, you just have those tick. I remember when Dr. Modi said that thing, said, don't have forms that you're just tick off the box. Some people, they just do it, let me dot the I's and cross the T's. You have lots of information. Like Ayo said, HR has so much data. What do we do with that data? So whatever it is that you're handling, right? Whatever is on your table that you're handling that is repetitive, is clerical, it's like, what is that thing that, that something else that can be automated or that can be handled by something else? That's what you should adopt. But I've given some pointers, think about what it is that you do that you could outsource. You cannot outsource, interaction with human beings, with the people. That you cannot outsource. You cannot automate that, right? When you have interviews, you're talking to people, you're trying to gauge, how, the kind of hire they are. Yes, AI may be able to take care of some of that, but it can't take care of everything, right? So you need to think about those things that are employee facing, right? What are those things that I can outsource? Again, when I talk about handling employee inquiries, we also have to be careful at where the lines stop, because there are certain things that are personal that you will not say AI should take care of. Even AI chatbots, at a point they say, or at this point, I would like to refer you to a HR person, because at that point you have to handle it as a person. But then it frees you off the redundant questions that, I mean, come on, you can, it can refer you or it can answer those questions. So that person that's coming into entry level should think about what it is that they do or what it is that they're going to be doing that is grunt work, right? That is something that they could ordinarily, put aside to someone else
So
or
spot
something else.
on. So spot on. Just to buttress what you said, I think it's also important to identify your low-hanging fruits. So what I did, just to make it practical, and I know Isn't talked about it, I started with my policies. And if you are a HR professional and you already have a place where you have all your policies, everything, right? That is a very easy win for you. And then secondly, like one of our version 2, for instance, is on one-on-one meetings, right? I don't want to have to be chasing like managers every month, say, have you had your one-on-ones, etc. A bot can easily do that for you. So just to also show you practically how it can be done, and just look for quick wins, right? So let's hear from Miss Lauren.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think coming back to the point I made in the beginning, no matter what stage of your HR career you're in, the primary purpose of an HR practitioner is people engagement. That's the role. We've moved away from the personnel, where everybody had a personnel number and you were just a folder and a resource. And there's the human connection is priority in our role. So whatever stage of your career you're in is to utilize any tool, not just AI, any of the tools available to maximize your human connection opportunities. If I was entering HR now and starting off now, I think very useful advice would be find one tool. So I use ChatGPT and use one tool. And the reason why I say this is there are every day another 10 tools to use. And you can become so overwhelmed and it becomes too much information, and then you don't want to do it. So rather just find a tool and utilize it. They update, they improve their content. So I'm always, as soon as somebody tells me that they're using 5 or 6 different AI tools, it makes me a bit nervous, because you are spending a lot of time figuring out 5 or 6 different tools. It's a lot of time and energy. So that would just be like, get to know one tool and get to know it really well. There are other that are specialized tools that you can go into. We utilize personality profiling tools like Enneagram and the GC index and that. And they've built their own chat GPTs within those systems that have all of that language. And then I will go in there to do profiling of my leadership team or of specific operational teams, because it's specific to that function. The second thing would be in the olden days, people went into HR and you were either a generalist or you kind of became a specialist. So you went into payroll or you went into L&D, etc. And nowadays, it's more common for people to be general practitioners and touch on everything and do a little bit of everything, which is fantastic. And AI can help you with this. But if you're going to deep dive, the T-shaped principle, where you can do a lot of things, but you deep dive into 1 or 2 things, that's when you really, and I loved, AO spoke earlier about data and analytics. Like, that's a great example of leverage AI to give you the skills to do it properly. So that if you are going to deep dive into data and analytics, just for example, you do it properly. You don't do it a tip of the iceberg thing, because then there's no credibility there. But you can't do a deep dive into data and analytics and talent management and employee engagement and organizational design. It's impossible. So, HR is a really good example of T-shaped people. We do everything, but find 1 or 2 areas to deep dive and then use AI really intensely to get the skills in that deep dive.
So good. So good. Thank you, Ayo.
Lauren took my first point. I was going to speak about data and analytics. This is the easiest way to, become a data analyst now or to deep dive into data and analytics, right? Because there are many layers to data and data analytics, right? And not just what I quietly call human resource inventory counting. So there are different layers to data analytics, and this large language models can really help. But what I was going to suggest is, so if you use ChatGPT, for instance, try and use AI to learn about AI. I have a chat on my ChatGPT that is called My AI Journey. And what I told it at the beginning was break down the common themes and the core concepts of AI, large language models, neural networks, deep learning. Break it down like I am 5 years old and tell me all the things I need to learn and how it connects to my work as an HR professional, and then build me a plan on how I will learn this over the next 6 months. I have those timelines there, and I am strictly, abiding to it. So this can also kind of help you get more involved because you begin to realize the exciting things, about AI. Because AI is not ChatGPT, right? AI is more like a suitcase word that can anything that anybody wants to use it for can be put into it, right? So you can use ChatGPT to learn about AI. Like use these tools to broaden your knowledge. Like as much as you want to, optimize and do efficiencies here and there, but try and prioritize education. Um, and then one caveat to that is most of these large language models are kind of designed to almost always agree with you. So you have to bear that in mind when you go into this. So I have like standing prompts. Do not agree with what I'm saying. I want you to critique this like it. I have standing prompts that, and I read the responses. And when I notice that it starts reverting, I respond back, you are reverting back to this. I told you that you should not agree with me. Like you have to, as much as you want to learn, you have to have your eyes on the ball so that you don't get carried away, right? Yeah. So those are my thoughts.
Thank you very, very much. So I can see Kalu Nena's hand up. Do you have a question? Do you have a question? So you can unmute your mic now. I have given you permission to do so. Okay.
Good
Okay,
afternoon.
good afternoon.
First, I would like to thank you for your time, and then I would like to thank the speakers for this knowledge. I've written down a lot. But I just had a question then. So it was saying something about Tableau. I think what's his name? At the Ayo Delay, right?
Ayokunle.
Yeah, Ayo, sorry. So it was saying something about Tableau and then Power BI. I know Tableau um is a tool for visualization, and Power BI is for cleaning of data and analyzing data to whatever extent you want. So, but he mentioned something I didn't really get. I think a AI tool that comprises of both a BI service and then the visualization is the Tableau parts, and I didn't get that. So I wanted him to so I can research on it.
Thank you
Oh,
very much. Okay.
can I answer it now?
Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you for your question. So what I was alluding to is there is Power BI and then there is Tableau. Tableau, yes, like you said, is majorly used for visualizations, and then Power BI is used for both analysis and visualizations. But you get to a point where you run out of the things you can customize it to do, right? So you might need to build like a site like a small website, like a microsite, to kind of host the things that would solve the problems you are trying to solve, right? So that's what I was alluding to. So I was saying that with I learned how to build microsites, right? And I don't have to cram the code. So
Thank you
yeah.
very much, Ayo. So the last question that we can take here is from Victor. So Victor, please feel free to unmute.
Yeah, hi everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Great, great, great. Well done, everyone, especially to the host as well as the panelists. My question is to Ayo. So there was something you said about using AI to learn AI, and I thought that was really insightful. Could you please do a recap of how you had mentioned the steps you had programmed into AI to teach you something for like 6 months. Maybe for me, it might not be exactly what you used it for, but I want to mirror that strategy for my own personalized learning. So do you want to just recap what you instructed AI to teach you for the 6 months period? I think that was really helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ayo, please, just to add, maybe when you answer the question, you could just drop it in the chat so that he can pick it from there as well. Thank you.
Okay. So what I had asked, I created a separate chat within ChatGPT just for that purpose. So what I had asked is, please break down the core themes and concepts of AI, large language models, and everything in that orbit, and break them down for me. I want to learn about this for the next 6 months, and then help me build a plan that would help me achieve this in 6 months. I also told ChatGPT that I have time on Fridays from so time to so time that I want to dedicate towards that. So I didn't just say, help me build this. I had planned it out that, okay, I want to learn this by time, and this is the time I have to commit to it. So that was basically what it did. And with the responses, I just kept editing and changing and um, aligning to my context. One other thing that I did was that I asked ChatGPT to break down every role in the human resources value chain, what they claim they do, what they actually do, and where AI is going to augment. And the results were interesting. I mean, there were some things that were a bit wonky, but the insights were quite interesting. So that's something you can also try for yourself as well.
Thank you. Ayo, please, can you drop the prompts for us in the chat? Thank you very
Okay, yes, I
much.
will.
All right,
I
so
will.
we're coming to the end of this conversation. And I have to say a very, very big thank you to our panelists. But I just want them to take turns to just give us their final remarks. Please, 30 seconds each so that we can bring it to a close. We'll start with Ms. Lauren and Ezinne and Ayokunle. 30 seconds, please.
Thank you. I loved this session. I've learned so much. And I think that's the true value of AI and these kind of conversations is embracing an attitude of continuous learning and knowing that if you are open to learning and you're open to personal and professional growth and improvement, you are irreplaceable. So yeah, thank you to my panelists. Very informative.
Okay, thank you to everyone. It has been an amazing time here. Not a minute wasted. What I want to say is, as we have said, AI is just simply your partner in this journey, freeing you up to face what really matters, which is nurturing culture and leading with empathy. You know, the other speakers talked about culture, focus on those things that actually really matter. And then if you are going to start with AI, you have to anyway, learn it first, start small, pace yourself, and then, carry everyone along. And then also query, make sure you don't just take everything as it is. Keep on querying, apply your mind to, or apply your intelligence to whatever it is that it gives you. Because like Ayo said, you can't just take whatever you get from AI, query, and build it to what it should be. But it is your partner in this journey to make work better for you and for the organization. Thank you. And thank you to my co-panelists as well. And
Thank you. Thank you. Ayo.
This was a from start to the end, from the keynote to the end. This was time well spent. I have been writing a lot since I came in, right? There are things that I'm even hearing from Izine, from Ejiro, from Lauren, and I just, oh, okay, this could work. This could work. Let me quickly take that down. So I'm actually grateful that you have us here. Thank you very much. And again, AI, it's not about whether you want to do it or you don't want to do it. You have to. The people that you serve are depending on you to jump in front of this train on their behalf. Thank you.
Amazing. Can we all just say a big thank you to our panelists? Can you clap? Can we show them some love? Thank you so much. This was deeply impactful. Thank you very much. So we are coming to the end of this conference. And like Ayo said, I've just been typing in my because I have a notepad here and I've been taking down lots of things that I personally want to go back and implement in my organization. Before we wrap up, I want you all to please follow our panelists and our keynote speakers. They're the link to their LinkedIn profile is in the chat. Please engage them. I'm sure they're very happy to engage with you further. And on that note, we have come to the end of the We in HR Conference 2.0. I'm so grateful. It has been such a beautiful day. And on behalf of the entire team, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. Thank you to our keynote speaker, to our panelists. Thank you to everyone that has shown up today, not just with your presence, but I feel like you guys brought your energy, questions, openness to learn, your commitment to building, stronger people practices across Africa. The truth is that I had mentioned this to the panelists when we had our walkthrough session that the reason why we created this space was for HR leaders across and business leaders actually across Africa to have a safe space where they can come together, where we can exchange ideas, challenge one another, and walk away feeling inspired to even do more impactful work. And judging by the feedback and the responses that we've gotten today, I think that we've been able to achieve that. So thank you very much. But it is beyond, just having conversations and having this conference and feeling good. I believe that this is really the beginning of, newer conversations and even fresh possibilities. And the true measure of the impact that today's conversation, holds, or I hope that it has been for you, is that you go back and you take these insights to your company and to your communities and you really turn them into actions, right? So as we close, I want to encourage you to, keep these conversations going, continue networking, continue sharing. Like I said, follow all our panelists and our keynote speakers. And thank you once again for being a part of this journey. Until we meet again, our next conference will be in December. Let's keep pushing boundaries, let's keep shaping the future of work, and let's keep proving that Africa HR leaders are second to none. So see you at the next conference. You can say hello to people in the chat. You can show love to your speakers in the chat as well. But yeah, we've officially closed today's conference. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you, Oluwatobi, and well done. What a great event.
Thank you
Really
very much.
fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you
Enjoy your
so
weekend.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
And
Thank
just
you
to
to my
add, sorry,
panelists.
just to add, I've seen some people buzz me privately to say, oh, can we have a session on data analytics and maybe further masterclasses on the use of AI? I will speak to our panelists and see if they can make out time for that. But whatever is finalized, I will share with you via email. So thank you so much, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you.
Also, you can find the recording on our YouTube page. We'll send you an email with all the details as well. But if you check the chat, you should see a link to our YouTube channel. So the recording from this year's conference would also be there for you to go back and watch. Thanks, everyone.